All right, let's get this party started, guys. On a little vacation. About to go to a wedding. We just finished Disney. Pretty cool stuff. I'll Rob and Dan. We're going to get some updates out about how it's going. Universal's terrible. We're going to complain about that. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're going to get this going. We're doing Willie Mac and Hasan had a little conversation, debate. I don't really know what you'd call it the other day. I missed it. I haven't had time to work. I want to work. Okay. But anyway, Hasan actually let Willie talk to him on a stream, which communicates to me that Hasan thinks this is like a slam dunk and doesn't respect Willie Mac. He doesn't take conversations when he thinks that he'll be challenged in any like significant way. So there we go. But like, yeah, let's check this out.
On that note, here is the Willie Mac Show. What's up, Willie Mac Show?
Hey, what's up, Hasan?
Okay. Okay, we should be good.
Much.
Let me know if my webcam freezes or something in the chat.
So I am not very familiar with what you do, but I believe you've done.
He regularly slam dunks on you.
A couple videos about how
and red pill content.
Dog shit I am. I think. Right?
True.
You want to turn on your camera, by the way?
I mean, I'm recording. I don't think I can at the same time.
Okay.
Weird. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Well, that's unfortunate, but all right.
How do I turn
so
myself
you
Did you watch the videos?
No, of course not. I have a policy of not really watching videos such as that one.
That doesn't make
because it will.
It doesn't make any sense, by the way, to not have this policy if you're going to talk to him. If you had this policy of like, you know what, I'm just not going to engage, then I don't know, whatever, fine, it doesn't matter. Why make a policy?
Frustrate me, and then I will have to.
You want to debate about a video you didn't even watch?
It kind of doesn't make sense to debate about video. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I guess I understand the not wanting to get triggered comment. That's fine. I mean, I guess at least he's engaging with Willie Mac, but it is a little weird to even debate the guy in the first place. But okay, it seems kind of dumb. But I guess if I was in the same situation where I had a creator smaller than me, because Hasan is bigger than Willie Mac, and I saw a bunch of videos made about him, I'd be like, okay, so like, what are your problems with me? And then talk it from there. I guess I get that from Hasan's perspective.
Why? Yeah, of course. You made the video. I'm not like debating a random person about a video I didn't watch. You made the fucking video, so let's hear.
I know, but that kind of like
I think Hasan is fine on that, honestly.
Links up to like my big criticism with you is that you don't actually put in the bare minimum effort to research anything before you jump to conclusions.
I mean, listen, on this one, I'm going to just go with Hasan. I get what Hasan's talking about. He's got the guy directly here. I think I've seen Destiny do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, if you got the guy directly, like, why not just push him, like, hey, what are your issues with me? And then go from there. I think I'm fine with that.
That's why your tweet when you're like, hey, I want to.
He could have just easily not even talked to Willie Mac. I think it's fine that he didn't watch the video. He has the guy who made the video, you know?
I want to debate Willie.
Do you really consider me watching a fucking dumbass YouTube video from a drama farming channel to be doing research? I don't need to do research.
This is what you're.
It would be considered research.
On a video,
you're going into a topic you don't know anything about.
Brother,
I like how he's like, I don't watch the video so I don't get triggered, but he's instantly getting very triggered.
Give me what you want to say. Give me what you want to say. The video's about me, isn't it?
Yeah,
so fucking talk to me.
He's already melting down. Oh my god, this is crazy.
About what the fucking
he doesn't even need to.
Points of the video are, and let's discuss it. The fuck do you mean?
My main.
Why are you yelling already? This is wild.
Why would I have to research a video about myself?
Like I don't disagree with Hasan, but he's going insane instantaneously.
Oh man, I can't believe I have to watch.
I have no doubt you didn't.
I have to watch a fucking dumbass talk shit for 25 minutes. And jerk off like all the fucking talking points that I've heard about myself over and over again.
Okay.
Incredibly stupid. Give me the fucking takes and we'll talk about it. Okay.
Yeah. My
nice solid level-headedness.
Take is that you have a pattern of behavior where breaking news happens, you jump to wild conclusions.
That's
talking
true.
Way too
That's true. He did the same thing with like that hospital in Palestine, and then it turned out that it was like a misfire from Hamas or something.
Okay, give me an example.
Who disagrees with
example. Give me an example.
All right,
are you going to talk about?
Okay. There was reports that Ukraine was going to be invaded by Russia. You confidently said no, it wasn't, despite all the reports. Then Russia invades, and then instead of apologizing and correcting the story, you then
I didn't apologize and correct the story.
You justify the invasion.
Wait,
right?
I didn't apologize and correct the story.
Let me finish my.
Wait, hold on. No.
Well, Hasan's going to want to talk about this point by point, so like it's not necessarily a bad thing that he wants to go piece by piece. It's fine.
This is the pattern of behavior.
Because you said you. Wait. Hold on. You're the one who doesn't do his research because I did apologize and I did correct the record.
You
just didn't fucking see it.
You kind of walked it back too.
Wait, no.
I personally wouldn't like harp on this point. Like this point doesn't necessarily, but okay.
No. I very clearly.
Yeah.
I think that if I was going to criticize Hasan, I'd say, how come I would really push him hard on he talked to Ethan, and when he talked to Ethan, when it came to Israel and Palestine, Hasan specifically said that he doesn't really talk in a pro-Palestine way because he feels like his audience can't handle it. That's effectively what he had said. He said, yeah, they'll consider it a right-wing talking point, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, but you have a responsibility to, talk properly about both sides. And when he said that, when he's talking to Ethan, I found it disgusting and disturbing that you're so, you're so afraid of audience capture that you won't bring up like some points where Israel is correct, because there are instances where they are. That's what I would get him more than like on the Russia invasion thing. It was like a shitty speculation. I think it's a bigger deal to say, like, when Hasan, when Russia was first invading, Hasan was like, oh, Russia has a claim to the land, even though they were genociding people and just like genociding Ukrainians through starvation and then implanting Russians into the area to say, look, we have a land claim. I think that's better. That's probably something, when he criticizes the United States so heavily, and I think it's great to criticize the United States. There's certainly things that we do wrong, but then we'll be very light on China and be like, oh, they've done so much growth, but it's like they are, they're abusing their own workers worse than us. These are things that I would go more in on. Hey, baby, I'm
apologize
streaming.
For it. You didn't see that because all you do is look at fucking clip
It's in the video. It's in one of my videos.
So why did you just now bring it up as though I've never apologized?
Oh, this is so like Hasan. And then the worst part is when people call you out.
Why did you just bring
what the hell was that? A ghost?
that up as I never apologized?
It's all out of context.
Why did you just say I never apologized for it when I did?
Burns, right? You claim that's all out of context.
Why did you say I never apologized? Why did you just say I never apologized?
Justify more. You then make more outrageous claims.
I'm sorry. Why did you say?
So I think what WillyMac is trying to say is that like Hasan gets pushed, and his apology walkbacks aren't really apologies. They're the bare minimum that he has to do to satisfy his audience to make it seem like he's right, and then continue to like push this narrative of like a downplay, because he's constantly downplaying what's going on in Ukraine. Over and over and over again. He'll tell, when he was talking to Ethan, he's like, the media is just basically, they're just riling people up over Ukraine. And there's a level of truth to that, of course. Ukraine is one of our allies. But he says it in a way that's supposed to discredit what's going on in Ukraine. And then when he's pushed on it, he'll be like, I know that they're victims. But it's the kind of the tonnage that he operates with. And sometimes it can be very difficult to criticize him because his audience are just like, no, but I heard him say a thing. And most people's audiences aren't super intelligent, except for mine, of course. And so they'll hear somebody say something, but they won't look at the subtextual argument there. And so that's really where it comes from. It's almost like a dog whistle, That's what it boils down to.
Hey, I never apologized. If I did, and you just
apologized to me for farting.
You just repeated after I said no. I did apologize.
In my nose.
You moved the goalpost. You moved the goalpost. You tried to fucking act like I was just backtracking.
I didn't move the goalpost, dude. This is exactly my criticism.
You did. Stop saying this is exactly my criticism. Okay, but then your criticism is fucking stupid.
This is instantly like a fucking meltdown mode here. Like, I don't know. It's only 3 minutes in, so I'm sure it'll get better. But like, I don't know if WillyMac didn't expect Hasan to actually accept the conversation or to initiate a conversation. But like, Hasan is supposed to be the debater guy, and it's just a complete meltdown almost instantaneously.
It's in there.
Okay,
you just didn't watch it, so you're just making shit up right now. That's what you're doing.
No, I'm going off of what you're saying.
Because you didn't watch the video because you don't research anything, which is the whole criticism.
Why would I watch a fucking stupid video that you made when I'm talking to you because the video is about me? You said with your words that I didn't actually apologize.
You're saying I said with your words that I did. Is this what you're going to talk over me when I'm giving you the answer? No. I'm giving you a very straightforward answer. I did do that.
Okay.
I did cover your apology.
So you said I did apologize, but it wasn't good enough for you. Is that what you're saying?
And I showed you apologizing for making your completely, fairly baseless claims, jumping to conclusions, and then you followed that up by making more baseless claims, jumping to conclusions.
Okay. Go on. What are the baseless claims that I made that I jumped to conclusions on, even though you originally said I said that Russia would never invade Ukraine, which is true. I did say that because I did think that it would be an unimaginably stupid decision for Russia. Which I claimed would be impossible to occupy Ukraine, a country with 44 million people whose entire national independence movement has revolved around literally trying to escape from Russia for the most part, regardless of the Russian-speaking population in the Eastern Front. Okay. Having said that,
Right, so right there, that's something to criticize. When he says Russia speaking, occupation or whatever in the Eastern Front, what he's trying to do is say that Russia has a valid claim. That is the dog whistle there. And again, understand that historically Russia has starved people out of that area so that they died, and then implanted Russians. He starved Ukrainians in that area, and so like that right there, you have to pick up on those small things, because right there he's communicating to his audience, and they think that's a reasonable point. It's not a reasonable point. It's him dog whistling that the genocide of Ukrainians is okay. Just be completely honest. Just be clear of like what's happening there.
Yeah, I mean, this has nothing to do with what I said, though. This is all just random nonsense.
Yeah, because you're a fucking scum
So-
drama farmer. Of course it doesn't have anything to do with anything. Because the specifics don't matter to you.
The specifics do matter.
Well, if they do, then when I describe...
All right, here, I got another one. Let's do this one, too.
There's an entire YouTube video called I Was Wrong About Ukraine. Like, there's literally...
in that same video, you make more claims about...
Like what?
If I remember, I mean, this is a year ago.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I guess
like
you
what?
didn't watch that either.
Like what?
This
Of
is
course
just
I didn't watch it.
insane
Why
already.
would I watch a fucking drama farmer who has no understanding of geopolitical conflict?
You're the one who asked for this debate.
Again, it's ironic because Hasan is justifying the death of Ukrainians there, but when it comes to Palestine, all of a sudden, like, he's not. If he was consistent, he wouldn't like care about Palestine. It's just this weird anti-West perspective. Again, he just with that method of like, well, there's a lot of Russians occupying Ukraine in that area. Yeah, that because Russia genocided them. That's why he doesn't care about that. You know, it's just like so bizarre. I swear it's just a complete anti-West attitude. If it's anything that involves the West, he will just be very anti-West, even though lives in a Western country and he's very privileged from that.
You're all confused and butthurt that you're getting fucked up in it. Like,
wait,
I don't know what to
do. I'm sorry. You fucking brainlet. Give me what the
Oh
fucking
God.
inconsistency was. You made the video.
Demonize.
You made the video. Give me the inconsistency or what you consider to be
I gotta
false
go pull it up,
information.
'cause you haven't watched
Are you having a
anything.
hard time without a script or without people fucking feeding you
No,
clips that you can
I'm doing
post?
pretty good, bro. Nobody's fed me anything.
Dude,
I
you're
got all the
killing it.
clips.
You're
I don't know
killing
where
it,
to put
dog.
them.
Come on.
Yeah, so this is going to be like he's going to ride. This is something that I mean, this is a Destiny talking point he's using right now. Just to be clear. And that Destiny talking point, I'm not saying it's a bad one, is, and he's not explaining it well, but this is what he's doing. He's basically saying that these kind of like YouTubers that do, what the fuck is it called? Whatever. They do the compiling stuff, you know, they do actual work. Excuse me, sorry. Whatever. This type of like the video where they do the, you know, like WillyMac does. That they can sit there and they can spin a narrative on their own video, but they can't have conversations. And there might be a level of truth to that. But again, this is where Hasan's supposed to fly high, and he's totally debate lording this.
Go ahead. What's the second point? What is the lie that I told about Ukraine?
It's not a lie. It's just you made more claims. You made more basis.
Like what?
Claims.
What is the claim?
Well, right there, like he could have pushed him on the one aspect that Hasan dog whistled on.
Hey,
I gotta
just
go
come
pull
on.
it up in the video because you didn't
prepare for your
watch
own
anything.
fucking. You didn't prepare where you were literally coming on here to talk about not Israel Palestine, mind you, but about Ukraine, and you didn't even fucking prepare with talking
Video
about
essay.
Really about
Yeah,
Israel,
thank you.
Palestine. That'll be the next point. It's you doing the same thing again. Well, dude,
my
how
God.
do you impromptu ask me
I'm
to
sorry,
a debate
Felix.
this minute? If I had a day to prepare, I would have everything, but you didn't. You just completely like you blew
Dude,
this whole
it's your
thing up,
video.
so I
It's your video about me. These should be so simple for you to be like, this is where you lied. Just say
All
it.
right,
We
I
already
need the
established that the
video.
first thing.
I'm
The
gonna
first
have
thing you
to
did was
find
wrong.
the timestamp. All right, you got to give me a minute.
Okay.
This
Are
is
you trying to
recent.
link
You
me your
haven't
video?
done
I'm not
this
gonna watch your
before.
video. Just say it with your mouth, with your words. Go ahead.
I have to watch my video to see what my receipt is because
Yeah, he's using debate tactics right now. Yes.
this is a year old. Right? I didn't know where
You
this
don't even
whole
know your
conversation
own
was
video.
going.
You don't know the contents of your own.
I mean, it makes sense to not know something that you didn't know, like a year old, something that might be a year old or so, or a few months old or so. Like, I understand that and wanting a little bit more time to prepare for a debate. I don't think that's an unreasonable thing. It's you always need to brush up on a few different like talking points when you come into a conversation like this, especially since this was never going to be a conversation. It was always going to be a debate. So of course, and I think that's why Hasan did it like impromptu, so that he could be like, well, let's go right now. And he's not wrong in the sense of like, you know, these are your points. You should be able to bring them up. But again, when you have so many different issues with Hasan, it's impossible to remember all the specifics with anybody. And so he would have needed a couple of days to prepare. Of course, that's why you would generally schedule a debate.
Fucking video.
I made it
Really?
a year ago, bro.
You think you're
I like how
doing a
this
good
is
job right
for
now?
you when instead
Do
of
you think you're
letting
doing
me
a good
find
job
the
right now,
receipt.
defending your position? Like, it's
Yeah,
such a
I do,
profound
bro.
position.
You're doing
It's such a
exactly what I
profound
expect you to
position that you don't even fucking remember your own talking points. Oh my lord!
Dude, I'm trying to find your talking point.
And Hasan knows this. Hasan knows it takes a little while to bring up debates. So he knows what he's doing. He knows he's just he's assaulting him in like a debate.
This is the
I'm trying to find your talking point.
I know. My talking points that you claim are wrong should be, you know, in the chamber for you to fire off. You came on here because you thought, let's have a conversation about these fucking videos that I've made.
Do instantly right now, right when I was out.
Stop complaining. Give me the talking points. Come on. Stop complaining. Tell me what it was.
Yeah, I'm on vacation, so the stream's a little wonky. Sorry, guys, but you know, what the hell? What's happening here? All right, hopefully it keeps going. Sorry, it's probably going to keep buffering, but we're going to keep going. It's just a little wonky. What is happening right now? Okay, my error occurred while streaming. Great. Like, cool. Let's keep going.
Stop bitching. Tell me what it fucking was. You started the conversation by talking about Ukraine. Why did you bring up Ukraine if you weren't fucking ready to talk about it? Your first point that you brought up was that I never apologized for it. I debunked it within fucking seconds.
And all the receipts right here, but you said get on now, Willie No Show.
Okay, go ahead. Come on, Willie No Show. Come on. What's the second talking point?
Yelling in my ear while I'm pulling up the receipt.
Willie No Show. Give me the second talking point. If you're not,
I guess the stream just died. So
this fucking passionate about the subject, then you're basically admitting that you're a fucking bottom-feeding drama farmer who has no interest in.
Like you're just gonna look retarded because I'm gonna pull it up in my when I make my video.
Pull it up. Then pull it up. Stop fucking complaining about it after the fact. Go ahead. I'm here. All right.
Well, I guess that's it for the stream. It just crashed. I'm not going to be able to stream it. Sorry, I'm going to keep the regular video going, though. So.
Right now, if you are genuinely interested in truth and research or whatever, you have this wonderful opportunity. You have this wonderful opportunity to ask me personally.
To pull it up. I'm trying to listen, but I'm hearing you twice. Once from my video and once from you just bitching in my ear.
Oh, my God.
This whole thing is obviously a mess.
This is the greatest brain power we got, folks.
You want me to just move on from this?
All right, I'm muting myself. I'm muting myself. Go ahead, watch your video, and then you can come back, okay? Holy moly, dude. Jeez, Lord mercy. I muted myself. He can't hear me, so he can find his own talking points in his own fucking videos. Jesus Christ, dude.
I didn't even get to...
Yeah, I mean, again, like, here's the thing. I mean, this is obviously intentional. It sounds like Hasan instantaneously is like, oh, let's have this conversation right now with the intention of trying to confuse Willie Mac. Like, I mean, I think it was part of it, and that's why he's being so aggressive from the get-go. Because obviously there's so much information to parse through that you would need a little bit of a rebound time on it.
Any of my moderator questions?
I know.
All right, let's increase the speed.
Every time Felix is here, we got to do a fucking. We have to have the conversations like this. It just has to happen. I love that he's like, I don't remember my talking points. I have to watch my own YouTube video.
Well, I was going to suggest like a new topic. I was going to like, you know, if you don't want to watch the video, like while talking to him and he doesn't have the Google Doc. I was actually going to ask a series of questions about Amy Schumer.
Oh, no, Amy Schumer. We can't do that.
My questions are fine. They're like no one in the world would think they're bad. They're
not all right, I got it.
He's got it. All right, let's hear it. All right. Thank you, Willie Mac No Show.
Was you said people? You said
Willie No Show. Interesting.
Let me watch this one more time.
Okay.
It was in your video.
I would have said that Willie should have just waited until he had the time to go through it correctly. Because I think this might have been Hasan's point. I think so. What it sounds like, and I could be wrong, is Hasan was like, "Okay, Willie, come on right now. I have time for you." And so Willie Mac was like, "Okay, shit, I got to come right on." He's not ready for it. He probably needed a couple hours at least, which is perfectly fair and reasonable. Maybe even a day, honestly, to come up with the information. And Hasan was like, "Okay, come on right now." If it wasn't right now, he probably wouldn't have done the conversation. Because I think that he knows that he can kind of get him by surprise and see how unprepared he is. And then, of course, Hasan's just going to continuously push because it's more about the optics of the situation when it comes to generally debates in general, but this debate especially, than anything else. So I think he's just going for like a pure optics battle here.
I was wrong about Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
You said people are acting like Kiev's getting bombed. Like that would never happen. And then it's literally did happen.
Okay.
So you're just making more basis. You're making your apology video about being wrong and making basis claims that you know nothing about.
This is your take. This is your take from February 22nd, 2022.
Yeah.
Another thing that I was.
You've done it since then.
I've done it since then. People are acting like Kiev's getting bombed. It did happen. You're right about that.
Sorry, I'm trying to slow it down.
Also, do you think that I didn't cover? Wait, hold on. Do you think I didn't cover Kiev getting bombed? Like I hid that or something?
No, you did, but you're.
I think it would have been better if Willie. I don't think these specifics matter. As much as Hasan making the claim when he was talking to Piers Morgan of saying like, well, I don't usually cover, or I think it was Piers, I don't usually cover breaking news, but he almost always and exclusively covers breaking news, especially when it comes to big political issues. He'll usually have a bad take, like he'll justify like, you know, Russians genociding Ukrainians, or he'll say that a war is never going to happen, or he'll say that the IDF like bombed the hospital when they didn't, or he'll say like the myriad of different things, and then he'll get caught on that and he'll look silly. And then he'll double down on it because he engages in breaking news and he's already engaged with his confirmation bias and he's also very egotistical. So he feels like he has to continuously double down on the narrative because the narrative is more important than the actual information that happens. And I would say that there's a pattern of that, regardless of whether you apologize or not. The apology is generally not necessarily an apology. It's more of a walk back and and kind of like a rewriting of history to try to make it seem like you really weren't wrong, even though you were. Like, for instance, when he said that they attacked that hospital. And then, or I think it was the IDF attacked the hospital, and then it turned out they didn't. He's like, well, even if that isn't true, well, why do you? And then he starts talking about how people care more about the lives of Israelis than Palestinians, which is not true. So,
for accusations saying it doesn't, saying it won't happen. There's no way it'll happen.
Yeah. Do you think that bombing Kyiv specifically, it was what Russia did? Do you think that that was a good thing for Russia to do?
I didn't say.
Do you think that it was a? Do you have any genuine opinions?
Think it was a good thing.
Do you have any genuine opinions about?
Yeah, my opinion
Russia's
is that was
involvement
bad.
in the
My opinion on that is that you shouldn't be talking about shit.
Brother,
you know
hold up. We're having a conversation about Ukraine and Russia. We're having a conversation about Ukraine and Russia, and I'm asking you a specific question. I'm asking you a specific question.
My conversation's about you because my videos are about you and your paranoid behavior and your poor reporting, and now you're trying to shift it all these other ways because you know you can't face the truth.
Russia had not.
Bro.
It's interesting that this guy in the back is actually taking everything Willie Mac has to say, like, seriously, which is a good thing. He's like sitting there and he's just really taking the information and he's just like kind of pondering it. I mean, that's like your thinker face right there, right? He's just kind of sitting there thinking about and just like letting all the information hit him.
Russia had not bombed Kyiv at the time. That's number one. Number two, of course, as soon as that did happen, I covered it. Of course I did, because that's what I'm doing.
The criticism isn't that you didn't cover it. The criticism is that you're making baseless claims you don't know anything about, talking so confidently, as if you got a whole fucking research team behind you. When you don't, you're talking out your ass. This is the
brother. Do you have a whole research team behind you? Because you're not.
Me. I actually did research just now, and you could barely be patient enough to sit there and listen through it. You had to go ahead and
it's a video. You made a video a year ago about me talking about like my opinion on Russia and Ukraine. You personally do not have an opinion on Russia or Ukraine at all. I have taken accountability on my. I've taken accountability on.
This is a fucking optical nightmare for Willie Mac. Honestly, like he's not wrong about like anything he's saying, but he's getting dumpstered in the actual debate. And I hate to say it, I like Willie Mac's content a lot. He's a very intelligent person. He needed more time for this. He should just turn down the conversation, even if it meant never having it, and be like, I need to prepare for it. But who the fuck's going to think that, well, I guess we should have known with Hasan's track record that he's just going to fucking debate lordom, so.
On the things that I've reported wrong.
You should do the research. If I'm not willing to
I have taken accountability on the things that I have reported wrong on.
Wars when you can't do the
Willie No Script, listen to me. I've taken accountability on the things that I have said that are incorrect. Of course, on the editorial perspective, on the editorial side of my coverage, okay? On the editorial side of my coverage.
Yeah, that's not true. Again, like, no, it's not. We already gave a bunch of instances of that.
If I make a prediction or a speculation, it can sometimes be wrong. That speculation is always going to be on foundational analysis that is solid.
I got another one too. I got just more examples.
Do you have an issue with do you have an issue with my analysis of the situation? Because I can't possibly do research on things that haven't happened yet. I can simply speculate.
You just make it up.
And this entire do you think when I say, guys, I don't think that Russia will bomb Kyiv is actually in your opinion like me making up something, or do you think it's speculation?
No, the clip is actually you talking really condescendingly about people who think that could happen. That's the clip.
Okay, but okay. You don't. So is this all just tone policing? Is that what it is?
Talking about?
Is this all? So all of this is just you personally tone policing the way I'm covering the fucking news?
Policing. It's about your.
Do you have any genuine interest or any curiosity in like Russia and Ukraine at all, or is all you do fucking drama farming off of clips? Because over the course of this entire conflict, I've dedicated tens or hundreds of hours into my coverage, and the analysis in and of itself comes from a solid foundation. Now, the predictions might be wrong, and it certainly was, which is something that I took accountability for, even though you said I had not. So here's my question to you.
You then just did the same mistake again. You did the same criticism again.
Did you look into, okay, what sources I was looking at and where I was getting this opinion from?
Yeah, there were sources
beyond just like looking at YouTube clips and regurgitating talking points specifically that you've heard from other like neoliberal commentators and whatsoever. Neoliberal commentators is the same fucking 5 clips that you are going to present here.
You think Destiny's secretly behind this? Is this what you're crying about right now? Is this why you keep saying random shit?
Does it sound like I'm
it does. You just said, it does. You're talking about stuff that doesn't matter.
Brother, you said
from the criticism, which is your poor reporting. You bring me on to debate, you let me pick the debate topic, and now you won't engage. Okay. It's incredibly frustrating.
I am trying to engage with you.
Guys, listen, don't worry. I'm listening to a lot of it because there's not a lot of substance that's happening right now. It's mostly back and forth, but it's Hasan's content, so I don't have to react to it, okay? It's debate content. That's the epic part about it. So
I'm
You're
trying to
talking
engage
in
with you.
circles
I'm
about
trying to
stuff that's
engage
not
with you.
important.
I'm trying to
That's what
engage
you're
with you
doing.
in good faith as best as I possibly can.
that part's obviously not true.
And all you've done
It
so
is in
far
good
is
faith.
go through your YouTube video to be like, well, you said Kiev wasn't being bombed,
Dude,
and
you
actually
said-
it
you
wasn't
said
at the
what my
time,
claim
but
was
then it
didn't
got
happen,
bombed
and then I showed it to
afterwards.
you, and now
Listen,
you're
let me
mad about
finish.
it.
Okay, I'm going to mute you if you don't let me finish. Okay?
Go for it.
You said Kiev wasn't being bombed. At the time, it wasn't. Okay? And then you said, okay, well, guess what? Guess what, dude? Your tone was off. Okay, well, my tone was
wasn't
off.
your
You don't
tone,
like it.
it's the-
But you
it's
haven't
your
brought up,
reporting.
I was being condescending.
It's
You
actually
haven't
your
brought up
reporting.
the actual research or the actual analysis that led to these conclusions. Part of the reason why you haven't done that is because you have no idea what these sources are.
Well, what's his research and analysis when it comes down to it? I mean, his research and analysis was that he just doesn't think it's going to happen. I think that I think part of it, if I remember correctly, it's such a small relevant point. But part of the analysis was like, I don't know, some Western source said that it was going to happen or something. This is such a small point to just harp on.
Since you're just talking in circles on this,
Again, I think that this needed to be part of the bigger point of a consistent pattern of engaging in some form of breaking news content with like a not particularly educated take, and then just running with it and then having to do a walk back again. Like he still before to this day will justify like the occupation of or Russia trying to take land from Ukraine because they genocided Ukrainians and then they implanted Russia. He's like, well, they that's their land. There's so many people occupying it. They want it back. You know, I think things like that. The situation where he falsely reported that the IDF bombed a hospital when that never happened, and then he'll double down on that take over and over and over again. It's like, well, even if I was wrong, the IDF is still bad, and it's just like that's the consistent pattern. Even though he said like I don't do breaking news content when he talks, I think it was Piers Morgan, but he consistently, it's almost all he does is breaking news type content. He's a Twitch streamer, then we know, and I'm stream too, but I'm not like a Twitch streamer. I come on to stream specific topics. He's on all day looking for topics to stream about. It's two very different things, and so he sits there and he does breaking news on everything that's going on in Israel and Palestine. He runs hard defense for Palestine won't condemn Hamas, won't condemn them as like a terrorist organization in any meaningful capacity. Has admitted that he doesn't even talk in any pro-Israel way, not be pro-Israel, but talk that he won't even bring up the pro-Jewish or pro-Israel perspective because he's afraid it'll be like his fans will think it's too conservative. He's afraid of his fans. He's engaged in audience capture. He can never be honest about what he has to say. He's very anti-West. He'll upplay the negatives of the U.S., but he'll downplay the negatives of China. He runs defense for China. It's just these constant way that he talks.
Can I just go to the next one?
I'm not talking in circles on this
You are.
whatsoever, but go ahead. Let's talk about the next point.
The next one.
But for the record, I am not
missile
clairvoyant. I
hospital.
cannot predict the future. I cannot predict the future.
I
So
know.
I just want to point that out.
Yeah, so then you shouldn't be so confident in your predictions.
It's you talking on breaking news, like you know what the fuck's gonna happen, and you don't. You're talking completely out of line. So,
Wait,
all right,
wait,
the
wait,
missile
wait,
hit-
wait, 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 hold up.
Look, can I just go to the next point?
Hold
Can I go to the next point?
up. My speculation on what may happen, okay, in the future is not always going to be correct. Everybody understands
It's usually
this.
wrong. Yeah.
It's usually wrong. The only
It's
example
wrong
you
a lot.
brought
You
over.
said the CIA is why Iran bombed the U.S.
Do
base,
you
bro.
do you know how
You just
many?
said
Do
the
you
only
know
reason
how
the
many
protesters-
hours?
protesters are
Do you
taking
know
down
how many
pictures of
hours?
Israelis is because it's a psyop to make Palestinians look bad.
Wait, hold
Like,
on,
this is
hold
the
on,
fucking
hold
shit
on,
you
hold on.
do.
What base are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about with it.
Yeah, now he's talking about when there were people, I think it's in New York City, or San Francisco. There are people who put up signs basically for people who were either captured or have died either in Palestine or in Israel. And his argument is that when people put up the posters for, people who are kidnapped by Palestine or Hamas, Israelis that are kidnapped by Hamas or Israelis that are killed, they're just recording it, so people ripping down the signs so that they can be like, look, Palestine bad. That's what Hasan has said, that everything is basically like a psyop to run defense. But meanwhile, if the flip end, if it's somebody who is not pro-Palestine ripping down a poster, he'll be like, oh, look, this is terrible, this is horrible.
The Iranian thing. What?
Iran struck a U.S. base, and then you said it's the CIA. No shot, it's the CIA. Complete because you were.
I could have swore I heard him talk about like posters. I guess I misheard. Maybe he brought up 2 points like really quick, and I just misheard part of it.
Like, oh, there's a nuclear deal. Why would Iran do that? No way, no shot.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. Yeah.
100% confidence. Iran then takes credit for it, and then you coat mold and seethe to your audience.
Wait, I'm so.
I know.
I know what he's referring to. Yeah, this.
Because you spew so much bullshit all the time, you can't even remember.
Yeah, perhaps perhaps the reason for why you are maybe the reason why I'm confused and the reason why you're a little bit confused on this is because in every single circumstance, every single thing that you've brought up, there's almost always a correction that comes after the fact. You, on the other hand,
Well, right, but why would you make like such a weird baseless claim? Okay.
and do not see the correction, or you, on the other hand, see the
No, I
30
wait
second,
for the full
30
information
second
to be out
to
there, and
2
you don't.
minute,
I do
30
like the
second to
responsible
2 minute
reporter thing.
videos,
You
which
don't.
is enough for you to try and develop a consistent
This
narrative.
is from your whole live stream, by the way. I'm watching everything in context. This is cope from you saying that this is out of context. It's the same shit Andrew Tate does in the red.
Like obviously some things can be out of context, that is true, but there is like you cannot watch all of somebody's content and know all the specifics of what they may or may not have said. And so Hasan is focusing more like, well, there's not enough context there. Okay, what is the context? Like, what's your opinion now? Do you go like, yeah, I fucked that one up? Like, what, this is kind of like a weird looping conversation.
Pillars do to me, claiming everything's out of context when it's not. That was your opinion at the time. You said those words. They
Brother,
came out of your own mouth. Go do the research.
Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something really quickly? Okay. One. This is important for you to comprehend.
I'm sure.
Do you think that over the course of thousands of hours of coverage?
Yeah, right. He's gonna be like, "Oh, you think I can get everything right?" No, of course not. But he hasn't learned from his mistakes. He keeps playing breaking news, and then he keeps doing it over and over again and making assertions that haven't been verified. So it doesn't really matter that, like, yeah, maybe you don't make as many mistakes in what you're talking about, and that's fine. But you're not changing your perspective. You're still to this day making these completely baseless claims over and over and over and over and over again, based on this breaking news and based on whatever narrative you want to spin. Right. So that's where he really needs to push on.
Okay, thousands of hours of coverage, especially when something is like being immediately brought to my attention. Okay, immediately brought to my attention, which I don't even know what you're talking about, but
yeah, I know.
I don't remember what you're talking about. But over the course of thousands of hours of coverage, when I, for example, read something in the chat and respond to it, okay, do you think that this is like reporting, or do you think that I'm giving like immediate commentary?
Breaking news you cover. This isn't a random chat comment. This is breaking news that's happening.
Okay.
I think you should do what most people do and wait for the story to be out there before you start.
Yeah, like we saw this on this conversation with Piers Morgan, and Piers pushed him on this, and he was like, "Well, it was about the attack on that hospital, I believe it was." Like that's another instance, and Hasan's like, "Well, I don't usually do breaking news. That's all he does, really."
Berging out, making wild accusations.
He'll do anything that will fill up time on his stream. That's what's going. That's what it really boils down to.
Here,
That's why he would do like whatever cooking nightmares or whatever bullshit, Top Chef for that period of time, because he's been very consistent about how he needs to fill up his time slot because he was so poor he had to take an exclusivity contract.
Can I go to the next one?
You need to limit your TOS worthy takes here. This isn't fucking YouTube or whatever.
What is my TOS? What TOS did I break?
You can't use unfortunately, I know, and I used to do this in the past as well. You can't use ableist language, but go on.
Oh, like the R word. I got you.
Okay, I didn't even hear him say it. Or I went, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that you're a fan though.
Well, yeah, I don't. This is your job. I don't want to ruin that. So for instance, like the missile hit the Gaza hospital. Both sides blamed each other. That's the breaking news, right? And instead of waiting for more information, you jumped to conclusions saying it was 100% Israel.
Yeah, he did do that.
100%.
Okay.
You were so
good point.
All the
Good point. Can I ask you a question?
Can I go through the whole thing before you go?
No. Hold on. This is important.
But let him finish this whole point at least.
This is important. No. We're not jumping. We're talking about this. Okay. We're talking about this specific thing. Finally, now we're talking about Israel and Palestine.
Okay.
When I said that, I didn't just go, "Oh, I have no other opinion on this matter."
No, he was pretty harsh on it, and even when he got corrected, and then everything came out that it wasn't the IDF, he still doubled down on it when he talked to Piers Morgan. So, like, he's already wrong on this point.
I think Israel definitely did this because I want Israel to have definitely done this.
Yeah, he does. That's what it was.
The reason why I said this, and you do this regularly, okay? When I say something on this stream, okay, oftentimes, especially if it's a developing story.
Like, how do you know I say this stuff?
Especially if it's a developing story, when I say something on an issue that is happening, I look to all of the circumstantial evidence on the matter, and I look to
Yeah, like when he was pretending to be a missile expert. Yeah, okay.
Everything else that is going on thus far. Now, we're two adult individuals here. Do you think it is unfair to say Israel blew up the hospital. Like Israel bombed the hospital.
I think when they
Yes, I do. I think it's unfair. I think it's okay to say that's maybe what I think, but it's not confirmed. But he said that Israel did it. Then when it came out that they didn't, he just doubled down on it. Like Piers Morgan was like, no, there isn't an independent or whatever verification. It wasn't them. And he's like, no, he did it. And then he started to pretend that he can go through some, like he was like a fucking missile expert all of a sudden. He's like, well, Hamas couldn't have access to this technology. Like he doubled down on it.
there's a claim like that, you wait for information, right? I mean, there's a million things.
The information is that there was.
Can I respond? There's a million things to criticize the IDF for. That's right out there, right? You know this. I've seen you do it all day on stream. You get them on shit that they 100% deserve. But when there's something like that, and instead of waiting for reports, while the report is literally Israel and Hamas blame each other, right? You don't know what the story is. You don't know if they did it or not. And you say 100%, they 100% did it. That's a huge disaster, bro. That's like
at that point. First of all, who do you think blew up the hospital? Like the hospital courtyard, rather. Who do you think?
I'm pretty sure it was a misfire. Like a Hamas misfired or some bullshit.
The hospital courtyard.
I think most investigations point towards it being either the Islamic Jihad or Hamas, right? It's like a misfired rocket. And then what you did in response to that was, instead of being like, yeah, I think since most of the reports are going this way.
Why do you think it's wait, hold on. Why do you think it's a Hamas or Islamic Jihad and a rocket misfire?
Well, that was just what most of the investigations turned out.
So
I know Channel 4 had a different one.
Because you're bringing this up, and this is really important to understand. One, all of the circumstantial
you say that
evidence
every time, but it never is.
Okay, all of the circumstantial evidence at the time, of course, after the 6,000 bombs that Israel had dropped on Gaza, a densely populated open-air prison.
Yeah, and just to be very clear, they sent in pamphlets. They made thousands of phone calls to individuals to get out of the area before that they bombed all these areas. And Hamas actively was blocking civilians in Palestine from leaving. It's still horrible what the IDF did. They still deserve criticism. But to be fair, let's be clear that Hamas and Israel both have the same value of life for Palestinians as each other, which is insane. Hamas, which is effectively the elected government of Palestinian people, has no value for their own lives. That's why they're blocking routes. That's why they're hiding missiles inside of hospitals, or they're hiding different things inside of hospitals and different people's homes, apartment buildings, residential areas. They're doing it on purpose because this is the optical battle that they want to push. You know, it's something to keep in mind that the supporters of Hamas, like Iran is a big supporter of Hamas, and Russia supports Iran. And the idea this is the whole goal. The reason why Hamas is getting this support, I would imagine, I don't think it's unrealistic, is because the whole point is to create this type of media frenzy, because we know that Western countries have a higher value of life for both Israel and Palestine than Eastern countries. That's why Eastern countries really aren't helping. That's why they're not letting Muslim people there into their own country. They'll say like, no, that means Israel wins. That's not what it is. It's because they have the very low value of life for that, because they're more interested in getting rid of an Eastern force, which is Israel, like the only Eastern country in the Middle East, than they are of actually helping their Palestinian people. And it's one of the most fucked up things that Palestinians, there's nobody, unfortunately, no side has a particularly high value. I would argue that Israel has a higher value of life than Hamas does for Palestinian people. That's why, and Hasan says this, support for Hamas has been going down in Palestine, but they're still the governing party, right? Because there's no value for their life. It's a really fucked up scenario, and it's something to keep in mind, because criticize Israel for that, but also criticize Hamas. You know, like there's very little criticism for that, all because they don't want to accept some kind of a two-state solution, which has been proposed multiple times, right? So let's just keep that in mind.
The 6,001st bomb, understandably, was going to be an Israeli bomb. To this day, we still do not know whether this was an Islamic Jihad rocket that was misfired, or whether or not this was actually an artillery shell that might have hit a fuel tank, or even some other kind of munition that Israel may have deployed.
So why did you say it was
now,
100%
the reason why,
Israel and then call everyone genocidal freaks that disagree with you?
You don't actually watch the content beyond. Because first of all, because they
are.
Like because the Israeli government is genocidal. What the fuck are you talking about, you dumb fuck? 4,500 children have been ruthlessly slaughtered. You think that's not genocidal?
No, I don't. I think that it's horrific and it's terrible. But the Israeli perspective, and it's still flawed, but I know what the perspective is since the start of the state that was given to them in 1948 by Britain, they have been routinely attacked by different surrounding Arab countries over and over and over again, routinely, constantly being attacked over and over and over again. All the surrounding countries, for the most part, they don't particularly care for Jews. They don't want Israeli to have a government there or a state there. There's a lot of anti-Semitism and anti-Jew sentiment in a lot of these, surrounding countries, and they're attacked over and over and over again. And it's gotten to a point where Hamas, once again, they attacked Israeli people, and now Israel's saying they basically they're at the point now where it's like, okay, you're going to attack us, we're going to attack back, and now all of a sudden, oh well, they want to call for a ceasefire, and it's like, okay, just for what, 2 years later for them to attack again and then kill more Israeli lives and call for a ceasefire? That's their perspective. I don't think it's genocidal. I think that if it was supposed to be a genocide, then we wouldn't see thousands of pamphlets being dropped in, thousands of phone calls to Palestinian people. Things over the radio and the internet saying get out of this area, as limited as it is. We wouldn't see Palestine or Israel allowing resources through different donation centers to go into Palestine, which is something that does happen. The IDF vets through them. There's only certain charity organizations that are allowed in because a lot of times Hamas will just take their resources from the people because, again, they don't care about their own people. I think it's a really horrible, unfortunate casualty of war. But I understand why Israel wouldn't want to, they don't want Hamas in power, and so that's kind of what has to happen. Hamas needs to be gone in some capacity, and a new government needs to be elected, and there needs to be a two-state solution. I go as far to say that Israel should pay restitution to Palestinians. But yeah, I wouldn't call it a genocide. It's interesting. I don't think you can call it genocide when there does seem to be a higher value of life from Israel for the Palestinian people than Hamas, because there is. These casualties could be avoided, but I still think it's disgusting, when they'll bomb some kind of a camp, some kind of a refugee camp to kill one Hamas leader and then hundreds are killed. I think it's disgusting. I think it's a war crime. I think it needs to be held accountable for. But again, both sides need to be held accountable. I don't think it's a genocide. I think it is so obsessed with eradicating Hamas to preserve Israeli lives that you are killing Palestinians, and their justifiers like, well, they elected that government so they can reap the consequences. I still think it's wrong, but that's where they're coming from.
The topic again.
Oh, the one hospital might. Wait, Willie, shut the fuck up and listen, dumbass.
Yeah,
do you really think that if one fucking hospital wasn't bombed by Israel and this was a fucking actual misfire, that all of a sudden means that that all of a sudden means that Israel's not doing ethnic cleansing?
Right now, you're doing it in real time.
Dude, just fucking answer.
They're not doing ethnic cleansing. There's I think almost 2 million non-Jewish Arab people that live in Israel. So again, what ethnicity is being cleansed? It's just like how many Jews are in Palestine? 0. How many Arabs are in Israel? A lot, right? So just to be clear, and then, they participate in the government. They're actors or athletes. They're in the government. These are such disproportionate claims.
Answer my question. Do you think that the ethnic cleansing campaign, if you take out the bombing, okay, if you take out the one time that this hospital's bombed, okay, if you take that out, do you think out of the equation, do you think Israel is all of a sudden not doing ethnic cleansing in Gaza?
No, that's not what I said. This is what you're trying to.
I'm asking you. Okay, then
I just said no.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Okay, so what's your reports? Okay, got it. No. Got it.
Reports. Got it. And you go ahead and they.
Yeah, just to be clear, 2.1 million, according to Israel's Central Bureau of Statistics, the Arab-Israeli population in 2023 was 2.1 million, representing 21% of the country's population. The majority of these citizens identify with Arab, et cetera, by nationality. And the majority of these citizens identify themselves as Arab or Palestinian by nationality and as Israel by citizenship. So they are citizens of Israel. Right. And since we know Hasan says no, there needs to be, citizenship in some capacity for Palestinians, we know that those people aren't living in Gaza or the West Bank, or rather those individuals are being represented by the government. They're able to vote in some capacity. So it's not an ethnic cleansing. It's objectively wrong to say that. You're just wrong when you say something like that. It is the sensationalization of what's happening. I'm not saying that what Israel is doing is okay. What I'm saying is that when you exclude that context, it's intentional. It's completely intentional for him to exclude very relevant and very necessary context.
Side with it. You continue to call them genocidal, even though that's the fact of the info. That's what most things.
But this is one of the problems. Is can you give me water? This is one of the problems. Is that Willie, because he does great content, he should have talked to maybe Destiny or something, or had somebody hanging out, somebody in the Destiny area, to be able to be click, thank you so much, to be able to communicate another hey, what about you? Bring this up, push him on this, push him on that. That would have been probably good for him.
no sense.
When I cover these
You
kinds
ignore
of
the
stories,
news, bro. That's the point. You just like lie and come up with your
I
own
don't
shit.
ignore the news. You ignore the
You-
rest of the fucking coverage, because on the day of the hospital bombing, I personally said, okay, that the highest likelihood of this hospital being bombed is from
you also
Israel.
Right, and when additional information came out that was made it highly likely that it wasn't the IDF, and Pierce brought that up to him, he still denied that it was. He still believed that it was Israel. So
It was 100%.
Just shut the fuck up and
That's what
listen,
you did,
okay?
bro.
Shut up
Yeah, no,
and
keep
listen.
shifting the goalpost. Keep saying
Listen,
more
I'm not
shit.
shifting the fucking goalpost. It's my own.
This is like, optically so bad for Willie Mac. I'm just being. I love the guy, but this is not. This is he's losing the conversation, even though he's right.
Coverage. I'm giving you additional feedback. If you actually genuinely cared about the truth instead of fucking clip chimping and drama farming, you would understand
clip
that on
chimping.
that
It's like
same
right there.
day,
You could go
on
watch
that
the full clip.
same
It's in my video.
day, on that same day, over and over again, I said the highest probability of this is that this is an Israeli bombing campaign. Part of the reason why I said that,
You also said that
and I
was the
also
highest
mentioned
probability
multiple times.
after the investigations.
I also
which
mentioned
the investigations don't agree with you.
I also
still double
mentioned
down on that
multiple
point.
times. I also mentioned multiple times
You just
that the
again ignore what I
reason,
said.
dude, just listen to what I'm saying.
Well, you're
I know
saying
it doesn't.
irrelevant,
I know
though.
it
You're
doesn't
just saying,
correspond.
bro, like you're
No, it's
just
not
like a
irrelevant
waffle.
because
You're
you're making a
waffling.
video. You're making
Yeah, both of them are just going back and forth, interrupting each other.
a video to
Jesus.
massage
right.
a
You should
certain
watch
narrative, to create a certain narrative.
It's a
okay?
true narrative. It's like
to create a certain
100%
narrative,
right.
and that narrative, when it doesn't
can't even
correspond to the
disprove it
narrative
when
you're
you hear
trying to
what I'm
make,
telling it to your face.
when it doesn't correspond to the narrative you're trying to make, you go, oh, it's irrelevant. Of course, it's not irrelevant. Do you think that my coverage of this bombing is irrelevant? Why are you fucking
No,
making a
it's
video
actually- it's
about a
actually what I'm
30-second
criticizing,
sliver of
that
the
you jump-
content if
I
you don't
criticize
actually?
that you jump to conclusions, and now you're saying, yeah,
I'm
I
losing my
did, but
mind.
like, look at this 1.8 hours in.
Willie,
after I said it was
Willie,
100%
it's not
true,
8 hours
I
in.
actually
It's not
said
8
it
hours
was
in.
mostly
It's not
likely-
8 hours in. It is not 8 hours in. What
It
will
is.
it take for you to go, okay, you know what? I was actually wrong. He actually had a much more even-handed approach to the subject matter.
He didn't.
Or
my
have you
take
already
was-
made your preconceived biases,
No,
and
it's
you're
not. It's
simply
like
looking
the
to
facts.
reinforce
It's the
them?
facts of what happened, and you have yet to disprove it. If my criticism is
I said on the day of the bombing, Willie,
what have you done to disprove that? You jump
I
into
said
conclusions.
on the day of the bombing,
Yes.
I
Yes,
said,
like the most hilarious part. Like it's
the
the day.
only-
This is breaking news, and
Yes.
you jump to the conclusion that's 100%.
you're right. After
Out of your
6,000
mouth.
bombs, the 6,001st bomb, I should have been like, guys, hold on. Let's not
You
talk
just
about
call
this.
everybody
Shut the fuck
genocidal.
up and
That's
listen.
what you do.
Shut up and listen, dumbass.
God.
Listen.
Oh God.
Okay, thank you. Holy fuck, you're just simply proving how bad faith you are, and you don't give a shit.
I'm not.
Yes,
You're
I'm covering
not
the fucking
engaging.
news.
You don't
yes,
engage.
I'm covering the news. In America, when we have like
bad way.
mass shootings and whatnot happening, I have a policy of usually not diving headfirst into that news coverage.
So then why does he dive headfirst into news coverage when it comes to Israel, Palestine, and Ukraine? The reason is because when there's a mass shooting in America, it's not usually the biggest part of a 24-hour news cycle. So it's like, oh, something happened. I'm not going to talk about it yet because we don't really know what's going on. It's also generally a smaller event, and that's not said to minimize what's going on. But when there's a mass shooting, it's like, okay, you can wait a day or two, see the details of what's going on. It usually takes like a day or two, right? But that's not really going to be something that is you're going to be super interested in from Twitch content. Like they're not still like, oh my God, we need a 24/7 coverage. That's when it comes to Israel, Palestine. When it comes to Ukraine, that is his content for months, and so he will jump the gun because he knows that like he can fill his entire stream with that. That's the only difference. Again, he could push that because he's trying to make it seem like, well, because he holds back when it comes to a mass shooting, that makes him reasonable. It doesn't. You know, it's because he doesn't feel like he can farm that content. He doesn't feel like he can exploit that content. He doesn't feel like he can jump into it and make ridiculous claims that are unverifiable or unprovable continuously. He uses the mass shootings as an excuse to say, no, I'm reasonable. I don't jump on the mass shootings. So that means I am reasonable overall, because there are more mass shootings than there are, general months-long conflicts in Ukraine or Palestine. So by number, it looks like he's reasonable. Let's say there was like 30 mass shootings and there's only, 2 Middle Eastern conflicts or 2 conflicts. But those 30 shootings, those things aren't 24-hour news cycle worth of content for Hasan's content stream. Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, it is. He gets to jump into it. He gets to be opportunistic onto it. So again, that's where you should really zone in.
Because
That's not
it is
true at
not
all.
the
You
same
titled
as
your
the
shit that.
consistent war coverage. The only reason why I usually talk about whatever kind of breaking story is happening, this is not the same for Israel, and it's not the same for Ukraine.
Shooter? Wasn't your stream titled at the day of the
Listen
shooting?
to me.
I mean, who are we
Listen to
kidding
me.
here?
The only thing I cover in situations like that is whatever the mainstream media's, whatever mainstream media has reported on. Oftentimes, we just simply look at the live stream of the police force when they are talking about how many victims are there. That's it. Now, having said that, is that the case for Israel? No, it's not. Is that the case for Ukraine? No, it's not, and it wasn't. Okay. And in that circumstance, there are times where, of course, I'm going to get certain things wrong. But this is an 8-hour news coverage. If you look at a 30-second, if you look at a
yeah, but just that fundamentally being like, well, I'm covering this 8 hours a day. The only reason is because he took an exclusivity contract he doesn't financially need. That still makes it irresponsible. One of the biggest criticisms is our 24/7 news cycle, which is effectively happening with Hasan, except it's not 24/7. It's like 8/7. That's just still a lot when it comes to these topics. It's still very problematic because what happens is that you have to fill your slot with stuff. The fundamental biggest issue is that once 9/11 happened, we had a 24-hour news cycle that made it so that the news constantly felt like they needed information to relate to. And that's really when news got hyped up into the sensationalized area where over and over and over again, they're like, okay, we need to fill this. Okay, what happened today? Well, this happened. Okay, that doesn't sound sexy enough. How do we make that sound sexy? Let's add this, and this to it, right? It's like, let's say like a little kid pushed another little kid, right? Oh, okay. Oh, this little kid pushed this kid. Okay, now let's 24-hour news cycle. Well, that's not interesting enough. So what color was one of the kid? Oh, wait, this kid was white. This one was black. Okay, well now we say like racist white kid pushes another black kid specifically because he has, internalized white supremacy, blah, blah, blah. It's the sensationalized narrative that happens. It happens on Hasan's stream as well. He needs to make the content. He needs to make it interesting. He needs to make it entertaining, and he needs to sensationalize it. And he needs to sensationalize it into his perspective. Because if people aren't riled up, then people generally aren't going to engage with somebody's content as much. And I think it's very intentional. That's why he has a particular narrative that is very not even pro-Palestine. It's pro-Hamas. It usually downplays the negatives of Hamas. It upplays the negatives of Israel. There are negatives. And that's why when I criticize it, it sounds like I'm like, oh my God, Palestinian people. But no, I think we need to free Palestinians from Hamas. They need to get their own state, two-state solution. These two different groups cannot live together, Israel and Palestine, and they need to be given restitution and reparations from Israel. That's my take. You can't say that that's too conservative. No conservative saying that take, right? But that's what's happening.
30-second broadcast.
That's the criticism. It's not 30 seconds. You keep saying that. It's
okay,
not 30
if you're looking
seconds.
at 5-minute portion of a fucking
you're fucking
brother. You're not listening to what I'm saying. On the very same
bombed by Israel, 800 people dead. That was your stream. What did I do to title it that? I didn't do that.
Okay.
I didn't clip that out of context.
Can you please listen to me? 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 Can you please?
Yeah, right. Like he instantly jumped on this happened, even though there was like it's Hasan's trying to make it seem like he said, hey, it's more likely that Israel did this, but that's not what he did. He made it seem like Israel absolutely did that, and they did it intentionally because he's trying to rile people up he's trying to rile people up in general just to make money. I mean, he's just literally the progressive Steven Crowder. That's all Hasan is.
Listen to me.
What will I have to show you for you to own up to this criticism?
Okay, because you're not listening to what I'm trying to say. First of all, I never said 800.
What you're saying is irrelevant. You're just going
That's
on
so
about
fucking stupid.
random shit.
Okay, I was literally repeating what the BBC coverage was. Not only that, but also because like I don't have a direct on the ground. I wasn't.
Well, was the BBC? Hold on, I might have this wrong. All right, did the BBC say it was 100% Israel when they blamed each other?
The BBC's original assessment, yes, was that it was most likely an Israeli bombing.
But they blamed
most likely is not the same as saying that it was because of them.
Each other in investigation.
He might have gotten the information from the BBC and then he sensationalized it and added a title to the stream. That's the issue that we're having here.
No. That was literally the reason why they had to rescind the coverage. That was the reason why they had to rescind the coverage and apologize for it. But also, what you're failing, you didn't do your research. Shut the fuck up. What you're also failing to fucking comprehend here in your dense ass mind is that.
But Hasan isn't rescinding it.
Once again, and I repeat myself, I said,
he still thinks it's Israel. He just said it before, so.
What I will believe. Here is what I will believe. If there's a third-party investigation, given the fact that Israel has lied routinely...
he believes it's still Israel.
...about the bombing campaign, and specifically had, in that very same morning, the Israeli Air Force said we had no bombing campaigns happening in the region.
Investigations.
We have no bombing... Just listen, okay? We have no bombing campaigns in the region, which was a lie. They were bombing in that region, actually, as a matter of fact. That's number one. Number two, Israel also personally brought forward inconsistent testimony, inconsistent statements as to why this was definitely an Islamic Jihad rocket, okay? And the reason why we're having this conversation and how it's so fucking stupid, okay, it's so insanely idiotic, is because Israel is currently, while we're having this conversation, sieging the main hospital in Gaza. Israel, at that point, had 420 medical incidents, according to the World Health Organization. If you get your fucking news through clips, you are not going to understand why I said what I said including that unless there is an actual third-party on-the-ground investigation, I will, of course, believe, given the circumstantial evidence mounted, that this is yet another Israeli bomb or some type of Israeli munitions, that I'm going to assume...
Is it even possible to get a third-party verification for something like this? Is that something that Hamas would even allow to happen?
That, yes.
I mean, I could just be wrong. I just feel like they wouldn't.
Israel blew up this hospital just like it had blown up the cancer ward at that very same hospital 2 days prior. Did you see that part of the coverage? No, you didn't.
You know what you're doing right now?
I mean, I would imagine, though, that if they actually did do it, they would have been saying, we're going to do this, evacuate, which has been routine for pretty much all of their bombings, to my understanding. So it wouldn't really make sense for them to bomb this one without giving people evacuation warnings. No, I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me.
Now, and what you just did, all right? I criticized you for jumping to conclusions, right? Which, by the way, a lot of streamers didn't. A lot of new streamers didn't, right? I would have been down to make videos on them. Some did, but a lot didn't, right?
No, you wouldn't, dumbass. You only do this because it gets you fucking views. You don't give a shit about Israel.
All you did was justify the bad, like justify why
Israel claimed that the BBC was doing modern blood libel.
This is what you just said. All you did right there was justify why you should be able to report things badly. And then you dismissed it all saying, well, Israel's attacking Gaza right now, so none of it matters if I got it wrong.
Because, of course,
it's fucking
because
embarrassing.
the point that you're trying to argue here without actually saying it.
The point is that you should just wait and fucking do a good job reporting. Why are you jumping to conclusions, making concrete statements you know nothing about? That's the same criticism. You haven't disproved that at all.
I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Listen to me.
I'm losing my mind, bro, because it's just
first of all, one, you're holding me to a fucking higher standard than the fucking BBC, which the Israeli government said was blood libel.
Well, no, but again, the BBC walked it back, and Hasan refuses to do that. So
for arriving at the same fuck. You know why I didn't apologize? You know why I didn't apologize?
You haven't done that.
You want to know why I didn't apologize? You want to know why I didn't apologize? Do you care?
Do
you care? Do you want me to tell you why I didn't apologize?
Say the same thing you just said like 4 times
already. You never do. You always double down.
No, wait, I don't apologize? I don't apologize? That's crazy because you said I never apologized about being wrong about Ukraine, but I did. And you fucking lied and said that, oh, well, actually, you were just backing away.
I'm very consistent.
Well, yeah, he did. He backed away. That's why, again, in that conversation, he gave like a little bit of a dog whistle to like, oh, it was justifiable for Russia to, genocide Ukrainians through starvation methods and implant Russians, and that gives him like land claim. He said this earlier.
Consistent with it.
Yeah, you're consistently wrong, you dense fuck. Listen.
I haven't. You don't even watch the videos. How would you know if I'm wrong?
Why would I watch your dumbass drama farming videos? You don't give a shit about anything. You don't give a shit about this conflict. You don't give a shit about this beyond it pushing your fucking personal...
You not watching my videos is the same level of reporting that you give Israel and Gaza. It's the same level of reporting that you give Ukraine.
I'm going to be honest with you. If you think you're revealing how stupid you are by claiming that watching a fucking YouTube video is the same as like reading news reports and talking to on-the-ground journalists and forensic analysts.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you won't even do the bare minimum and you won't even do it for a drama video.
Well, Hasan is an on-the-ground journalist because that's what he said he was.
I'm losing my fucking mind. Why would I care about your drama video, dumb fuck?
Yeah, you do. That's why you invited me on.
I invited you on because I thought that you genuinely had a perspective that was at odds with mine on Israel-Palestine. You said, never mind. It's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about my videos that I've made on you. So now we're stuck having this...
I mean, is that actually why he pulled him on?
Fucking stupid conversation. When I cover shit...
Okay, I don't know if I believe that.
Like, it would be about if you just watch the video.
Willy,
classic
okay,
journalism.
All right, I'll ask you questions. In your video, do you, I don't know, at any point bring up any of the resources that I'm using, like including the BBC, which you said?
Yeah, I showed the tweet you used. Yeah, I did. I showed the tweet you used of a missile striking the ground, going, doesn't that look like a JDAM? That actually looks a lot like a JDAM. That's your epic reporting. Those are your epic sources, bro.
Yes. My epic sources. That was the only verified video of the strike at the time.
I know, like you're.
Do you know where I got that?
Like you know how to.
Do you know where I got that video from?
Well, yeah, but the issue was Hasan was trying to sit there and pretend that he was like a missiles expert and be like, well, I don't think that Hamas has the ability or capacity to have these types of missiles, so it couldn't have been them. It's like, you don't know that.
Do you know where I got that video from?
Where?
The Washington Post. That's where I got that video from.
Yeah, but you don't know how to interpret what that missile is.
That's really interesting you say that because at the time I was talking. At the time, that's really interesting because at the time I was talking to open source intelligence people and also forensic analysts. That's what I was doing, and I still do when I'm reporting on this kind.
What forensic analyst was he talking to? What is he talking about? Where was he talking to? Who was his source? Because he certainly didn't have anybody on stream. So like for all we know, he's just saying he was talking to forensic analysts. What is he talking about?
The thing, especially when it's outside of my immediate like expertise or whatever, I go to people that are making real.
Who did he go to?
One of the things that I'm sure you didn't mention was the GeoConfirmed Twitter thread. The GeoConfirmed Twitter thread that originally was incredibly viral pointed to this being.
Does this all exonerate you for jumping to conclusions?
No, dumbass. Over the course of 8 hours, I am parsing through misinformation. No, I'm not. I'm not shifting. We're still talking about this bombing.
We're still talking about just droning on, bro. Holy fuck.
This bombing.
By the way, hold on. Can we move on? Because this is just circles. You're just.
Whoa. No, we're not fucking moving on just because you feel like this conversation is completely out of your fucking depth because you only.
This conversation is just completely out of anybody's depth. It is literally is talking into circles. Let's get. I'm going to keep going to 2x until we find something relevant.
Because you want to look at clips.
You jump to
Listen,
conclusions, and then you jump to conclusions, and now you justify why.
one thing that I do in breaking news stories is to parse through, okay, all of the information that is accumulating online that's going viral. I do this for specifically for whenever there's a mass shooter.
He really should have like focused on that and even taken the clip of that one moment where he tells Ethan that he doesn't really talk in a pro-Israel way or bring up any like pro-Israel points in any capacity because he's afraid his audience. He's basically afraid of his audience. He's like, I'm afraid that they'll interpret it as just like this super alt-right dog whistle, blah blah blah. It's like, no, you're not. Like, you're afraid that they'll say, Hasan, you're a poo-poo head, and he doesn't want to hold his own audience. He doesn't want to actually disagree with his audience. He's engaged in audience capture. That's all it boils down to. That's a really good point to bring up. The fact that he said that he is a propagandist, that's a really good point to bring up because those two things are supportive of each other. If you're intentionally not going to, present any aspect where Israel is correct or justified in aspects of what they're doing, not everything they're doing, of course. If you're not going to bring those up, that is part of the propaganda, intentionally downplaying the positives of Israel, essentially upplaying the negatives of Israel. Those are the things that you're problematic on.
Some psychotic right-wing weirdo will turn around and be like, oh, the mass shooter actually is trans or whatever the fuck, right? Sure. Now, in this circumstance, I can't believe we're still talking about this, by the way, because every single information, every single piece of information that Israel, as the official account, has brought forward has been an abject lie that have been disproven by the very same authorities that you claim are totally on.
I don't think that not every single claim that Israel has brought forward has been considered an absolute lie. I don't know what he's talking about.
Board, okay? Are totally saying like, no, it definitely has to be Islam Jihad rocket. Every single person I've talked to, from
like, obviously Israel is going to be very pro-Israel in their reporting of themselves in the same way as like Hamas will do the same thing. But to say that all of it is falsification is obviously not true. He's speculating that this one instance is a falsification, and that's fine to have that speculation. But now he's saying that it's an abject lie. It's not true. He does this a lot in his sensationalized language. For instance, he's talking to Ethan, and he was saying that a third of Holocaust survivors in Israel live in abject poverty. Abject poverty basically means the most humiliating, horrific form of poverty. So we're talking about people living on the streets, doing drugs, sleeping in their own piss. That's what abject poverty means. It's now 1/3 of them do not live in abject poverty. 1/3 of them live in poverty. Right? That's not a good thing, but poverty where all of them get money from the government, and poverty is generally based on like whatever line that they decide to draw there. So poverty doesn't mean you don't have a house. It might just mean that you don't have a lot of money, that you live somewhere maybe you don't have access to as much heat as you need or as much medication. It's still bad. The point is, though, is that he hyper sensationalizes points so often. He uses the word abject always to rile up his point to a disproportionate. He constantly does these little prods of misinformation and disinformation, really, where he sensationalizes in the direction that he wants to. He's spinning a narrative. So when he says that Israel's constantly being called out for, no, they're not. They're not constantly wrong about their reporting. That's just a lie. I'm sure it happens, of course, just like Hamas does the same thing. But Israel's also generally held to a higher standard, right? Just to be clear when it comes to it. And it makes sense that they are. It's a Western country that we hold Western countries to higher standards with more money and a more organized military and more organized government that we give money to in a more direct way. So, of course, I get it. But just be clear that Israel is more honest than Hamas is. They should be. We give them money. So, of course, they should be more honest. We hold them to our standard as a Western government. But just to be clear.
Forensic analysts that work at the New York Times, that work at Washington Post, all the way to open source intelligence analysts that I talk to from a broad variety of different ideological backgrounds. The conversations that we had revolved around some of the other open source intelligence community members basically fucking bringing forward incredibly stupid conclusions, like how this massive casualty-inducing rocket that was actually a cause of an intercepted missile that fell on the hospital. Every single point that was brought forward in the immediate aftermath of the hospital was actually completely incorrect. But you didn't make a video about that. You made a video about me. Because if you made a video, about you. Yes, you did. Stop. Listen. Let me finish. You didn't make a video about Geo Confirmed and how viral his fucking thread was. You didn't make a video about how wrong most of the news outlets were for directly reporting what the fuck Israel says as though it's God's honest truth. Okay, they got everything wrong on that subject. But guess what, dude? They got everything wrong. There's no WillyMac video on that. Because
did they correct it? Hold on, did they correct it?
Wait,
did they correct it?
No, they haven't.
They haven't. They just doubled down on it.
No, I'm talking about all of the fucking false testimony that they brought forward about how Israel, most of these outlets that literally just repeated whatever the fuck Israel said, just went along with it because it goes along with the overarching narrative.
Right, but how come I gotta make a video on them just because I made a video on you?
Because you said, wait, hold on. In the beginning of this conversation, you literally said, if someone else had gotten in.
Well, Hasan's entire point here is to say, like, hey, listen, you're not interested in actually what's going on. You're interested in criticizing me. Right. And okay, it's a fair point. Sure. So when Hasan gets something wrong, he'll go after Hasan, but he won't go after, the news getting something wrong. I think that sure. I mean, I guess it's a point. Sure. I guess that's fine. I don't know. I mean, the only difference is that, like, obviously Hasan falls into like a drama community as well. He's not just a political content creator. That's why he weighs in on like a, drama that is, that's something that's like popping up. He will do that as well. That's why he's holding Hasan accountable. Whereas there are other institutions that hold these other organizations accountable, like other news organizations and institutions. But sure, let me check something really quick. Sorry, guys, I wanted to go pee, and I also wanted to make sure that it was actually recording.
Information wrong, I would have done a video on them too, but only you got the information wrong.
If I made a video on somebody, if I made a video on somebody else,
you said those exact words.
Let me correct it because that's a ridiculous statement, right?
Well, you did.
Well, he was specifically saying that he would have made it on another streamer because that's like the sphere that he's in. So
I'd say that. If you care about misinformation, maybe you should, I don't know, make the next video about IDF and all the times that they fucking lied about every single bombing campaign.
So you're saying because I made a video on you, I now got to make a video on Israel?
No, you don't have to do anything, but you can't also maintain a position that you care about the truth and honesty in journalism, like you're a fucking Gamergate holdout, being like, oh, I care about the ethics in video game journalism. That's why we have to dox these fucking female journalists or some shit.
The problem with this criticism is that now Willie Mac is held to the standard of having to criticize what beyond his scope. He's criticizing Hasan. Nobody's really criticizing Hasan outside of somebody like Willie Mac, or like obviously I do too. Whereas when it comes to the mainstream media pushing a false narrative, there are plenty of people to criticize them. So it's something to keep in mind. It's a downplay of his own mistakes, and again, that's what this whole thing comes down to. Even when he's talking about this, you can't take everything that he says as truth because he's admitted to being a propagandist, and he's admitted to taking it as negative, absolute zero stance that would be charitable to Israel in any capacity, even if Israel's in the right on something. He's admitted that in this conversation with Ethan.
I didn't dox anybody, bro. What are you talking about?
I didn't say that. I'm using. Do you know what a fucking analogy is, dumb fuck?
Yeah. Hey, I got a question. If I go ahead and let's say like you referenced in that big long rambly rant that lasted like 5 minutes, right? You referenced that you later in the stream got a story right, and that I should have talked about that because you covered some things right. Does that mean I can't criticize you for when you're wrong?
No, of course you can. The entire point is framing.
Well, if it's part of the same stream, then you would obviously want to include that
thing incorrectly. If there's 8 hours of coverage on a particular matter, and throughout that coverage, I'm actually personally talking about how the red line I would draw is on the.
I think one of the things here, and this is something that I'm just thinking about now. I think probably the big. Okay. So again, I said earlier, like I get Hasan not wanting to watch a video and just talk to Willie Mac instead. But I think that it's not unreasonable to think that one of the reasons that Hasan decided to talk to Willie Mac instead of watch the video is because he didn't want to have to individually explain the context of what was going on, because he probably couldn't. I could be wrong about that, but
if there is an on-the-ground investigation where they look at ground soil analysis, one factor of the forensic analysis on whether or not this was a misfire is actually seeing the impact, right? You have to look at the crater. And the crater in and of itself, immediately, once the dust settled and we saw the crater, I said, while I originally looked at the video, can I please explain what's happening here? Or are you just in here to fucking cry? Okay.
Well, it sucks because you're going on about irrelevant stuff.
Okay.
It's not relevant.
This is something that he does, is info dumping. It doesn't mean that just because there's some kind of a forensic analysis on something, that means that he's correct. But they're really doubling down on this like one specific point. I want to know what else is going on here.
Your ultimate statement is that my claims are baseless. Then you haven't done your research, because none of this is baseless.
The issue is that he jumped to saying that this definitely was Israel, and he's doubled down on that now. That's what it comes down to. He doesn't take a nuanced approach of skepticism when it comes to the reporting of the IDF. He takes like a zero accepting of anything that they say, and will constantly downplay it regardless of what the information is that comes out about it, and while doing his own forensic analysis and saying he listens to other people, which I doubt it. We've seen no other people. He doesn't bring like these analysts on stream. He just says, oh well, I'm referencing this. No, who the fuck are you referencing? Give me a name so we could look that person up. They don't exist, right?
You jumped to conclusions.
Of course, yeah, I jumped to the same conclusions that the BBC did too, and I also said
that they corrected it. You don't.
No, but you're failing to understand is I, even on the same day, immediately after this, said I might be wrong on this, and if I'm wrong, here's how I will be disproven. Okay, if somehow we end up having an impact crater analysis and soil analysis to see what kind of munitions was used in this process, and it is consistent with an Islamic Jihad rocket because we know what kind of rockets they have, and this most likely, and I said this the day of as well, was a possible batter rocket, the BADR rocket, okay, that Islamic Jihad does have. If that is the case, then the ground soil, chemical testing on the ground would prove that to be true. Hamas.
Who's going to let them to do chemical testing on the ground? He's intentionally setting up an unrealistic. Like, there's no way that Hamas is not going to do their own chemical testing on the ground. In fact, this probably disproves what he's saying, because if it wasn't them, they would do chemical testing on the ground and go, it wasn't us. It's not going to happen. There's not going to be a third party that's allowed in there to do this. They're not going to let Israel do it. They're not going to let anybody do it. So what are you talking about? It's an unrealistic expectation.
Also, and I brought this up as well, which I thought was suspicious, could not find anything beyond the impact crater, could not find a possible shrapnel from the missile because the missile doesn't perish. Okay? So what I said is in situations like this, and I showed like an earlier event like this.
Okay, well, if it doesn't perish, like who has access to it then? So then what? Hamas took it. If anything, this to me shows that Hamas did. It was a Hamas or a jihadist or whatever misfire, because who else has the ability to go in there and do to the ground soil testing? Only basically Hamas. Who has the ability to take the rocket? Hamas. Israel, what do you think? Israel's like shooting rockets and like they're jumping in there and grabbing them and like teleporting back? Of course not. They're not gonna go retrieve this. So the fact that this information is missing or these tests cannot be done, to me, shows a higher likeliness that it was a misfire, not from the IDF. Like that's how you would go there.
And they lied. Okay, in situations like this, usually they will bring forward a piece of the fucking missile. Okay, if you're engaging in this, if you're engaging my content of faith, you would have seen all of this.
So why didn't Hamas bring forward the piece of the missile that's like, hey, it's not ours? Because it probably was theirs. Actually, if anything, this makes me think it definitely that it was. This is evidence that it was fucking Hamas.
I don't just like repeat whatever fucking thing I'm thinking about.
Oh my god!
It's not true because I'm telling you.
Dude, hold on. In the same stream.
It's so unfortunate because you could push so hard back on this. It sucks.
I'm telling you where my analysis comes from. Talking to
reframe this entire thing.
brother, you've literally complained here about one hospital bombing that
No,
is still
it's
not
your pattern
proven.
of behavior.
One hospital
It's
bombing that is still not proven to be an Islamic Jihad rocket by saying third-party forensic.
100%, and then everybody who says otherwise, you were calling genocidal.
I still think.
That's what you did on stream. That's
Yeah,
what
I
you
did do that because they are. If you're defending Israel, you are genocidal.
Right, but if you simply
Wait, do you think defending? Okay, let's start with that. Do you think defending Israel? Do you think defending Israel's actions?
Look how
Do you think
you're doing this now? You're now saying
okay? Because you brought up a new point. You brought up a new point. We're moving on. We're not gonna watch a shit ass video. You brought up a new point. Do you think? Okay. Do you think what Israel is engaging in is ethnic cleansing and ethnic displacement in Gaza?
Yeah.
No,
You
they're
do.
not.
Great. Okay. Do you think defending this ethnic cleansing
What?
and ethnic displacement?
Wait, why? Why do you think that they're engaging in
Ethnic cleansing. Your shit ass video. You brought up a new
I
point.
know, 'cause you don't want
You
the
think?
actual truth.
Okay.
You
Do
don't
you
want to show
think?
everybody
Do you
the
think what
context.
Israel is engaging in is ethnic cleansing and ethnic?
Hold on. I'm trying to slow the video down, but this like my shit is going insane.
Ethnic displacement in Gaza. Right
Yeah.
now.
Ethnic cleansing? Of course not. No. Why would you say yes to that? How is it ethnic cleansing? Hold on a second. Like when you say that you're defending the mass expulsion or killing of members of an unwanted ethnic group or religious group in society, I know that there's over 2 million, okay, non-Jewish Arabs and Palestinians living inside of Israel. How can you say that it's an ethnic cleansing when they're allowed there? That's not, you just can't. I think it's fucked up. But when you say, are you defending Israel? There's a difference. You have to defend Israel from Hasan because he's admitted he will never give them any level of charitability. So when you say defending, like what's my defense? That I think that there should be a two-state solution where Israel pays reparations. Like, are you telling me that I'm like this fucking stout, staunch fucking Israel defender? Of course not. That doesn't make sense. It's not an ethnic cleansing. What of ethnicity? You know, unfortunately, Palestinians elected Hamas, and then Hamas has taken over and gone fucking ballistic and won't let their own people leave. What are you talking about? It's not an ethnic cleansing. What?
You do.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Do you think defending this ethnic cleansing and ethnic displacement
It's still horrible and wrong. It needs to come to an end.
campaign would be defending genocidal acts then in your own assessment?
Yeah.
Okay, so we agree. All right, got it. Thank you.
I know the
Move on from
criticism is your reporting. It's not that, bro.
Yeah, got it. You care more about you
I
care more
I care
about
about
the
doing a
truth
good
in
job 'cause
journalism.
you
Okay, got
right,
it.
dude,
I'm
you're
glad we agree on it
radicalizing
at least.
people when you're
I'm glad
wrong.
we agree on it.
You're
I'm glad we
radicalizing
agree on
people
it.
when you're
Okay,
wrong.
move on. Next point.
Are you just gonna should I now bring up the next point?
I don't know.
Yeah,
what the points are.
Or are you gonna go on more about like?
And here, by the way, for if you don't know, we do have an automatic false about timer usually for breaking news, especially when it comes to like mass shootings, which includes the main mass shooting, which you claimed I was covering immediately. Or
Yeah, you
whatever it was
covered
entitled.
the same day, didn't you?
I don't remember if I did, but if I did, it was
I think I
specifically just
remember
the police. It was probably just whatever the police testimony was at the time. But
Okay.
here is the false about from that day for the record. Automatically timing out someone who was trying to bring this up.
So
Anyway.
your chat's not allowed to talk about it, but you talk about it.
No, Chad is talking about it so I can actually talk about it myself. And this was the day after. No, I actually didn't cover the main shooting at all that day, and I barely talked about it the next day, as a matter of fact.
Okay, fair enough then. I didn't watch those streams.
Okay. I don't think you watch a lot of the streams because if you did, you understand where a lot of my analysis is coming from, and you wouldn't be fucking making your
I
own
don't really
spins like
analysis.
this.
You kind of do bro politics and just shoot from the hip.
It's an insane assertion to say like you have to watch a lot of my streams to know where everything comes from. Like generally speaking, you don't need to watch somebody's entire. It's insane to have to watch somebody's entire stream to know where they're coming from. If you say something wrong in a video or some kind of a coverage and go no, you need to watch my entire 8-hour stream 7 days a week. That's fucking insane. Nobody would have to do that. I watch you talk to Piers Morgan. Like that's enough of me to know what you're saying. And then if there's something that you took yourself out of context or you mischaracterized yourself, then correct yourself. I'll watch you in a conversation with Ethan. You're supposed to be thoughtful there. Okay, like at what point It's an absolutely unrealistic expectation. It's like if I made a mistake and you're like, well, and I was like, you have to watch every single Papa Gut stream in full. That's insane. That's fucking insane.
I'm sorry. Okay, okay, got it. What kind of politics do you watch, or what kind of politics do you actually engage with then?
I mean, I
have a style that. Well, I have a style that you don't like. Okay, the end. That doesn't.
Yeah, but the style is you being wrong about stuff. The style's about you doing wrong. Like, it's the same criticism. We're just gonna fucking circle again. Dude, do you feel like you radicalize your audience when you get stuff wrong on these reporting, this sort of reporting?
Explain. I would love to hear what you
mean.
So,
like, for instance, like you and Ethan on like Israel, right? He's 100% seems like he sympathizes with the Palestinians, right?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that.
Yeah, all that good stuff.
Okay.
But then when he goes ahead and he's like saying stuff like, dude, your whole chat's calling me racist. Your whole chat's calling me a genocidal freak, right? Are you going to do anything about that? You don't. And why they do that is because you said.
It's really interesting you said that. Do you think?
Let me finish.
Every single day up until that very moment. Every single day up until that very moment, I told my community. If you actually didn't watch beyond the clips, you would know that every single day, since the Leftovers broadcast, including the immediate aftermath of the Leftovers broadcast, the first time we talked at the Leftovers at the HRH studio, I told my community that Ethan is sympathetic to Palestinians and that he is not.
It doesn't matter. This is a reframing. Hasan, when it came out that people in his own Discord were attacking Ethan, his response was, well, I don't really have anything to do with my own Discord. He's not doing anything. Him saying I'm sympathetic to Ethan and then saying, but Ethan, you kind of deserve it because that's what they're hearing. He's not like, this is, again, it's such a boring like reframing that Hasan is giving us. No, he does not contextualize this correctly. That's it. He lets his people go. He has mods calling Ethan like a genocidal fucking maniac. And Hasan's like, well, that's just is what it is. He's not putting his foot down and saying, guys, you need to stop or back off. He's just letting it happen because I think he wants Ethan to be bullied into a new perspective because he's a dumb, unintelligent fuck. Hasan.
To yell at him in this situation would be fucking fruitless, ridiculous. Plenty of people.
But you let them do that.
Hold on, you asked me what kind of community cultivation I engage in.
You didn't even know what I was going to ask because you cut me off.
Okay, go
ahead. That's what you fucking did.
Okay, go ahead. I'm being very rude to my guest, by the way, but go on. I'm sorry, Felix.
Am I your guest? Who's your guest? All right, I was just saying, do you feel like you radicalize your audience because your audience calls Ethan racist, even though he's pro-Palestinian, right? And the reason why they do that is because whenever anybody just reports like a basic fact, like Israel likely didn't do the Gaza hospital bomb, right? Your response is to freak out and call that chatter genocidal and say that they hate all Arabs. So that's why they do. You feel like you're radicalizing them to do it. I mean, they do it for a reason.
Are you in your own assessment here taking things out of context over the course of an 8-hour broadcast where you think maybe
it's all in context.
No, you don't know the context.
You got to prove
because you can look at it. Because you can look at a fucking
so
banning
hard.
that is occurring
Holy
on a stream
shit.
and not recognize that banning is happening because it might be a sock account. That banning might be happening because someone is bad faith. That banning might be happening because I'm sorry. We're talking about how I cultivate my community and how I moderate my community.
He doesn't moderate his community. He literally admits that he doesn't moderate his own Discord. What is he talking about? This is so stupid. Talking to Hasan is like so worthless because there's so many different lies that he spouts. It's unfortunate. I really don't think Willy was prepared for this conversation.
The fuck is me telling you how I moderate my community irrelevant? Everything it seems that goes against whatever narrative you want to frame is irrelevant in your opinion. So yeah, no wonder you want me to just watch the fucking YouTube video and sit in the goddamn shadows. Everything's irrelevant. You're asking me questions about how I operate. This is supposed to be a research. This is supposed to be a research, isn't it? Are you not supposed to be doing fucking research right now on your subject matter? So what's irrelevant?
You're asking hold on. I just said, are you radicalizing your audience? And then you went on a rant about sock accounts. That's not relevant.
Of course he's radicalizing his audience. Again, he said explicitly that he does not speak in he doesn't say anything that's pro-Israel or pro-Jew on his stream because he thinks that his audience will interpret it as like massive right-wing blah blah blah, so he stays away from it. He's intentionally admitting to you that he's not going to give you the correct or any reasonable interpretation of both sides. It's always going to be as anti-Israel as possible, anti-Jew as possible. That's really what it boils down to. He's interested in spinning a narrative. I don't think it's supposed to be anti-Jewish. I think it is just anti-West. And since that Israel represents a Western presence in the Middle East, that's it. Because he's just very USA bad, West bad, even though Western countries are held to higher standards, even though Western countries have more freedom in their own communities for people. And I understand criticize colonization and colonial and all this other shit. Criticize that imperialism, criticize that. The problem is though is that you live in a country where you're allowed to, and that's just not taken into account. It's not taken into consideration. We haven't once had like the conversation. I don't know how Hasan had the conversation about how if you were gay or trans inside of like Palestine or many of these Arab countries that you would be killed or you would be jailed for no reason. I think it's a factor. Oh no, that's not a factor. Why not? Like that, it should be a factor in some capacity. How much how much of a humanitarian perspective they have for other people? They they don't have as much. Is that because they're a Muslim or Arab? Of course not. It's because they're religious. That's it. The higher proximity you and your country are to religious beliefs, the higher proximity you are to oppression. That's what it comes down to. That's why religious conservatives in America are trying to take away the rights of gay people. And it was just last year before Biden codified gay marriage, trying to remove the ability to get gay married. That's why there's so much anti-LGBTQ and trans legislation. That's why there's the restriction of abortion, right? That's what it comes down to. But like, we don't talk about that. And why isn't that a relevant factor? Right? It doesn't mean that it's okay to kill people. Of course not. But it's something to consider when it comes to their perspectives, their humanitarian perspectives. You know, that's what it boils down to. And it's like, it should be a factor. It shouldn't be the biggest factor, but it's something to consider. It's like, how oppressive are these like areas? How oppressive is Hamas when it comes down to it? Is Hamas worth fighting and rooting out? You know, is it worth trying to, and I think it is, trying to, you know, get some kind of another group that's in Palestine and giving them funding and resources so that they can help take down Hamas and institute their own government where they're actually free of them for themselves, and they can engage in different trading to different surrounding countries. They can get some kind of reparations or restitution from the Israeli government. Like, these are all things that I think should happen, you know?
No, because I'm talking about how I cultivate and how I moderate my community.
He doesn't.
The entire conversation is within the framework of how I
doesn't.
moderate my
He
community.
doesn't. When his moderators are literally calling Ethan like a piece of shit scumbag, he doesn't moderate his community. He doesn't. As long as they will engage with whatever insane opinion that the rest of his community has. If they criticize Hasan, he'll moderate. Outside of that, he doesn't care.
And what I told you is, you don't have any understanding of
So
why
stupid,
I'm banning
this whole
who,
fucking-
for what reason. You're just
Okay,
watching in
it's-
small increments without
No, it's
recognizing
not.
that in a
You want it to be
political...
that way. It's not. I have entire streams down there. It's your whole stream.
Okay, that
I don't know
still
why
doesn't
you
matter
say
because you
that.
don't know why we make moderation decisions. That's why you were wrong on the fucking shooting
And
in
why did-
Maine.
why have
That's
that-
why you were
why
wrong on the
have
Maine
that
shooting
everybody-
too, because you can't
wait,
comprehend what is going on behind the fucking
no, no, no,
scenes.
no,
So why don't you
specific-
ask me, if I'm your subject matter here, which
You didn't
since
even
you
answer
watch
my
all the fucking
question,
streams, instead of making up your own mind about how these streams go,
Just change the subject.
what?
If
I'm
the
not changing
subject is
the
about
subject.
you radicalize your audience and Ethan's the example, why are you going on about banning? Why you ban people? And making it sound so complicated.
Do you
when
think
it's
I'm
not. It's actually
radicalizing my community against Ethan when I told you
No, no,
time and
I
time
think
again that I have kept my
I
community
have to
in check
repeat
over
what I
and over
say for a
again?
third time.
Yes. I think that, again, I think that there is he intentionally trying to radicalize this community against Ethan? No, probably not. Is he allowing it to happen? Of course. We don't know why. Maybe he wants to bully Ethan into having a different perspective. Maybe he just doesn't want to upset his chat by trying to actively moderate and reduce tensions against his friend Ethan. I don't really know, but the reality is that's what he does. He has an excuse for everything. When it comes to his Discord moderation, he's like, well, it's not my Discord. What am I supposed to do? It's his Discord. Well, I'm not in it. I can't do it. He could do something. He could tell his mods to do something. When it comes to his own mods harassing and attacking Ethan and mischaracterizing him by Hasan's perspective, he's like, well, that's just what they think. I can't do anything about it. He's taking a very like pussy stance on it because he doesn't care for whatever reason it comes down to. So he doesn't value that friendship. It's like, of course,
Because it's very straightforward.
Brother, you ask me questions, I answer. You don't like the answer because it goes against your
because
narrative that you're trying to fucking
your
fulfill, and then you go,
answer-
oh, it's irrelevant. It's not
I'm
irrelevant.
answering you about A, and you give me number 3. It's like completely a different fucking thing. I say, Hasan, let's do running. You go, I swim. It's not fucking relevant.
It is absolutely relevant. It's
No, so
absolutely
people
relevant.
have-
it's not relevant.
Criticize people.
Do you not think that my moderation is what we're talking about? You literally brought up Ethan.
What we're talking about is you attack people that talk about the facts, right? Like you go ahead and you're like, you're a genocidal freak, blah, 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 blah. Or opinions. It could be facts or opinions, right?
Uh-huh.
When it
Do you
comes
know how many
to,
people? Do you know how many people we ban
again,
on a daily
you're
basis?
hearing the question.
Okay, go ahead. Because you're not fucking asking a question. You're just like ranting. Go on. Sorry. I'm sorry. Give me
The
a
number of
I'll give you
people,
a
the
question.
number of people banned has nothing to do with why they're banned. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
Yeah.
When you criticize chatters by calling them genocidal freaks for having opinions that really are pretty nuanced, right? On a subject that is fairly nuanced, right? Why are you surprised? Or you shouldn't be surprised that your chatters do that to Ethan. Like you're the one
Yeah, of course. This is a good point.
that radicalized them into doing that. They're doing it to Ethan because you do it.
If
to everybody else.
my word is so gold that a chatter is repeating what I'm saying in a moment's notice, then why are they not repeating what I'm saying or hearing what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, when I tell them over and over again every single day since Ethan and I had our leftovers broadcast that Ethan is actually an anti-Zionist,
Why don't
he's
you ban
sympathetic to the Palestinian plight.
You ban everybody that links my video. Why don't you ban them for doing that to Ethan?
Wait, what? We literally had Ethan as a blocked word for straight up weeks at a time.
Yeah, but
What
why
are
not
you
fix the
talking
problem? The problem is
Blocking Ethan as a word isn't the same thing as banning a chatter who's being aggressive against Ethan and by your logic mischaracterizing him. That doesn't mean anything.
calling them racist. Not
Wait. I just told you how.
And a lot of this has to do with like the conversation about from the land to the sea. And Ethan was like, that is anti-Semitic. It is, objectively. Sorry, you're just wrong if you disagree. I agree. Free Palestine. From the land to the sea is an anti-Semitic dog whistle because Palestinians say that because Palestinian people, generally speaking, don't acknowledge Israel as a land. They don't. Okay? Right? And Israel has been oppressive to Palestinians. Of course. I understand that. The Israeli government. But they don't acknowledge Israel. So when they say from the land to the sea, they consider all of that Palestine. They're saying get the Jews out, right? I understand why they would say that. They're in a fucking war with Israeli people. Very complicated. But for other people that live in Western areas, like Hasan and other privileged individuals that just live in the West, that just don't live in Palestine, you're privileged. If you live in the West, you're privileged, regardless of what your political stance is. For you to repeat that anti-Semitic dog whistle is a problem. Free Palestine. Say that. You should free Palestine. I agree. from the river to the sea is an anti-Semitic dog whistle. There's nowhere for Israeli people to go. There's nowhere for the Jews to go. They'd be kicked out of the Middle East. Every one of those surrounding countries, they do not like Jews. This magical revisionist history of like, no, they lived in peace forever. It would be like if I said that fucking black and white people lived in peace in the 1900s. They don't. That's the reality of the situation. You're just wrong about that, right? The reason why there isn't a Jewish state there is, one, that land was highly contested by different entities back in the 1940s. Two, borders weren't drawn as strictly back then as they were now from probably 1990 and on. Three, they were given that land from Britain after they conquered it so that they had a state in the Middle East for Jews to go there and be safe, considering, I don't know, 6 million Jews were just murdered, were just holocausted, and the Jews finally wanted their own state for protection because, again, both Eastern and Western forces have been oppressing them their entire fucking lives. That's why it happened. Now, you could say, well, I don't like that, because, you know, it shouldn't have been Britain's to give. Maybe you're right, but back then things were just different. We live where we are now. This is 75 years after. You can't just say kick one or the other group off. There needs to be a humanitarian perspective, means that there has to be a Jewish state, or there has to be an Israeli state, and there has to be a Palestinian state. And once tensions drive down, you'll see more and more non-Jewish Arab people going to Israel. And eventually that state will no longer be explicitly a Jewish state. But Jews are under attack in the Middle East, generally speaking. There's a very anti-Jew sentiment. It makes sense as to why they would want to say, like, hey, we need a Jewish state right now. Again, 2.1 million non-Jews, Arab people, Palestinian people live in Israel. They vote. They take part in their government. They take part in, like, athletics. They take part in businesses, organizations. They work there. It's not some kind of an ethnic cleansing scenario. When 2 million people, so we know that they're open to different populations of people living there, but you don't want to take them. They're like, right now, again, they're being attacked. One of Hamas's big things is just kill all the Jews. Like, you know, it's like we don't. That's the problem. The problem is there's no representation in Hasan's stream of why there's a Jewish state or any aspect there. His solution is dumb as shit. It's dog shit of like a one-state solution of evaporating the Israeli government there, which all that would do is the Jews are just not going to let it happen because they've been constantly, historically, like murdered and holocausted and pushed out of their own land. So like, why would they're not going to accept that solution. Hasan knows that. He doesn't care. It's not going to magically just happen. There's a very anti-Jewish sentiment around there. So, okay, I'm ranting.
How I personally said time and time again, every single day, whenever a chatter tried to bring it up, whether they were drama farming or whether they were genuinely concerned with something that they misunderstood from Ethan's perspective, and even in that same conversation that I had with Ethan, that I believe that he's a very empathetic person and that I believe that he cares about Palestinian people. As my co-host, I said this time and time again. Okay. Here's the question for you. Beyond that, what other mechanisms of control do you want me to bring forward, or are you just engaging in
ban people who are not respectfully disagreeing with him? If somebody says, I disagree with Ethan, I disagree, that's fine. When people are calling him like a fucking genocidal maniac, you ban them. Because he's not. That is misinformation by your own account. So why wouldn't you ban those people? It's okay to disagree with Ethan over from the land to the sea, but you don't care when people call him a genocidal fucking maniac. When your own mods do it, you go, well, that's just how they feel because this is what you're saying. That's it.
In bad faith, because I do, and I did. Yes, I did. I told my own moderators, because you don't know this, again, after Ethan saw
your moderators are the one doing it, by the way. Like, your mods are.
Yeah,
after Ethan saw it.
I went back and looked at what they had said as well, by the way, for the record. I know that you said this.
Okay.
I love that.
Oh, so you didn't watch my video?
No, I know that. What do you mean? No, I didn't watch your video at all. Why are you getting so fucking excited? I'm saying
you just mentioned something. You said,
oh, okay, my bad. I misspoke. I apologize. This is something that every single person has brought up in the situation, including Ethan even brought up. Okay. Oh, Jesus Christ, you got excited. Okay. Anyway.
No, I was pumped because I thought you were a secret WillyMac fan.
No, I did not watch your video, and I must
not
watch your videos. But anyway, listen. First of all, I'm not a journalist. I've never said I'm a journalist. When I talk about
you reports.
Well, he said he was an on-the-ground reporter, so.
Bro, that's what he said.
Wait, when I said I do reports from the ground, where is that from? Do you have a clip?
Yeah, it's before you said you want to go on Piers Morgan.
Can you send me the clip? Because I think it's probably a miscommunication. Like, I've never said I do on-the-ground reporting. If I said that...
He did. It was weird. I don't know how you...
I probably misspoke.
I mean, it's more me being facetious, but if you want to watch it, we can watch it. Let's do it.
Oh, you're admitting that you
are lying
and saying that I'm an on-the-ground reporter.
Just sit in your fucking house. Everybody knows you don't actually report from the ground.
Yeah, which is why...
Yeah, I thought it was in Dylan Burns' video where he's like, I'm an on-the-ground reporter.
I would never say that, so I don't know why...
You did say that, though. That's what's funny.
I probably was talking about how I work with on-the-ground reporters. I don't personally engage in on-the-ground reporting,
so it probably was... What on-the-ground reporter does he work with?
A moment where I misspoke. I've never said that I do on-the-ground reporting.
Yeah, I know. Everyone knows you don't actually do on-the-ground reporting.
Wait, so why did you bring that up then?
I was just giving...
Well, Hasan did say he did. Okay, well, as soon as a misspeak, it doesn't matter.
Shit.
Wait, so I don't understand. So where is your supposedly quote unquote journalistic integrity in this situation? So it's like, so
I mean, it's a
all you
video
do-
that's also entertaining. So sometimes I just making fun of you, and other times it is actually a
okay,
serious
got it.
allegation.
All right, got
Yeah,
it. Yeah, no, I
This
wasn't-
is
yeah,
going out
I
of
do.
control.
Which then you apparently, or if I misspeak, apparently you fucking use it in your.
I mean, all that's going to happen there is if you're like, well, you said you're an on the ground reporter. I don't know. It just optically does not look good for WillyMac's perspective.
Very low, like,
This whole
hey,
conversation
one
is
example
a
that
I don't
nightmare.
watch your videos, so
Yeah, so don't make shit up. Here's a classic example.
don't make shit up. Just fucking say I'm
We were just on like this point. I wanted to know what he did about his mod. He said, "Mod, don't be so mean to Ethan. Ban the mod." Like that's what I would do if I had a friend in my chat and people are like, "This person's a real piece of shit." I say, "Okay, you're banned. I'm not going to tolerate that. Disagree as much as you want, but like there's a limit of what you're saying."
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. And also, on top of that, you literally started a conversation by saying you never apologized for fucking being wrong about Russia invading Ukraine.
You usually double down and shift the goalpost is what you do.
That's what? That's not true. I literally said
That's what we talked about for the last like hour, bro.
none of this was shifting the goalpost. You just don't like it. That's it. You want me to
Shift
be
the
wrong.
goalpost.
That's it. You don't want. You want me to be wrong. That's why you keep saying you shift the goalpost.
The question I asked you was, do you feel like your audience acts that way towards Ethan because you act like that towards everybody else, and you just go on about moderation?
Okay, if my audience is acting that way towards Ethan, okay, but
You feel like
but my
it's
audience, so
clear
they're getting their points from me. They're getting their anger from me. So
Yes.
why don't they hear me out when I talk about how Ethan is not
Because
someone
you
that you should be yelling at all?
Because you don't do anything about it. You set the tone that anybody that says a particular thing is a genocidal maniac through his own admittance in this video. And then when somebody says something, you're saying, well, I think Ethan comes from a good place, and you condescend to him. And then when people still take what you generally say outside of that conversation and they just use it against Ethan and you don't do anything about it, to everybody else, it just sounds like what you're trying to do is forcefully sound reasonable to Ethan. Be like, what, do you really care? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Your communication makes no sense. You set the stage that everything that Ethan is saying, or that there are certain things that you say that you have to be genocidal. Like if you ever criticize From the Land to the Sea, you must be just like fucking, I don't know, anti-Palestine magically, even though you're not. And then so people go, oh, this guy's a fucking maniac, he's a freak, blah, blah, blah. Even if you're like, well, I think Ethan's a nice guy, but then you do nothing about people who are using your original rhetoric to go fucking ballistic. This is like an over-explanation. Ban the person who's calling Ethan a genocidal maniac. Is that your friend? No. The answer is no if you're not going to ban that person.
Your position has to be genocidal.
Oh, got it. So like they don't listen. So they don't listen to one thing. They listen to whatever favors your perspective in this matter, but they don't listen to the other thing that doesn't favor you. Got it. So you get to pick and choose on what I get to do, or maybe
No,
let's be
it's
real.
really
You're
simple.
completely oblivious to how much I've talked to my own community about not fucking yelling at Ethan and about how he's a good person, how he's an empathetic person, he's a kind person, and he truly cares about Palestine.
So then ban them. If you consistently say it over and over again and they don't listen, ban them. They can disagree, but for them to go crazy and call him like a genocidal maniac, ban that person. Oh my God, that's the expectation. This whole thing is so dumb.
My point is this.
From what I
My
see,
point
you were
is
kind of bad faith in your debate with him. It wasn't exactly like a very nice
Oh
debate
my
you had.
God.
I can't wait to go watch it. I'm gonna go find out myself. but-
Okay. Well, have fun watching it. This was the most unproductive,
I know because you're mad I disagree with you, and you're mad.
No,
that
I'm
you
not. I'm not mad that you disagree with me. I disagree with you. I yell at my chat every fucking day, dumbass. There are people who disagree with me. They've been here for
I know,
5
you
fucking
all
years.
demonize them,
Shut the
all
fuck up.
different opinions.
No, that's not true. There's a difference between disagreements. There's a difference between disagreements and someone who's just trying to cut drama as hard as they fucking can. You don't know anything about Israel or Palestine. You don't give a shit about Israel or Palestine. You're just trying to fucking make money by cutting drama, which you've shown. What you're interested in. You spread a fuck ton of misinformation, and you also literally refuse to hear the additional context behind it. You refuse to hear the additional context behind it, and you just sit there and you say, Hasan, you must not be talking to open source intelligence people. You must not be talking to actual journalists on the ground or literally actual forensic analysts that are working at Washington Post, New York Times, and the like. You must just simply be making this up. When I tell you, as I'm the source matter here, right? I'm the subject matter here. If I'm the subject matter of your commentary, I'm giving you what I do, what my process is. And instead of going, okay, maybe I misunderstood how this works, you've turned around and tried to fucking yell about all this shit. I've tried to show you that the circumstantial evidence presented at the time and still to this day greatly favors that this was most likely another Israeli munition. Okay, I said this, but you don't give a shit because
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. He's lying.
presented at the time and still to this day greatly favors that this was most likely another Israeli munition. Okay.
No, the evidence presented is most likely that it is a non-Israeli munition. They're talking about the hospital rocket again. And the reason is because of what he just admitted before. Well, I'm not going to believe that it wasn't the IDF until I get testing on the ground of whatever residue that's left over. We don't have a piece of the rocket for them to present to us, so we can't verify it. Yeah, who has access to be able to do those things? It's not Israel. It is Hamas. Why aren't they doing those things? To me, that exclusion of evidence that they could present suggests to me that they did it. It was their misfire, and they're playing off the misinformation. We know, this is one thing that really should resonate with you. We know in the 2016 election that Russia actively spouted misinformation and disinformation to help get Donald Trump elected. That's just a fact. You could say, no, they didn't. Yes, they did. You're just wrong. I'm sorry. They wanted to get him elected. That doesn't mean that Trump was part of that misinformation and disinformation campaign, but that is what they were doing. That's why there was a lot of criticism on Facebook for allowing misinformation and disinformation. It's a large reason why we have this thing in Twitter where they're like, hey, here's the context for what you're saying, which I think is a positive thing. Okay? If you believe that, why wouldn't you believe that Russia, who gives money to Iran, who gives money to Hamas, or that's the supporter chain, why would you think that Russia wouldn't run disinformation and misinformation campaigns when it comes to this as well? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it's not unreasonable to say that they would do that. This is part of that. They have the information available to them, and they refuse to release it. Why? Because it was probably them, or it was probably not Israel, right? But Hasan is he's like, no. See, they did it. It's probably them. No, it's not. Based on his own evidence, based on the information he has, it's more likely that it was not the IDF.
Okay, I said this, but you don't give a shit because you don't care about the truth. You just care about fucking stirring shit up. It doesn't matter if I do 100%. Okay, on the same fucking day, in the immediate moment after that, I have said, oh my fucking lord, dude, on the same exact coverage, of the bombing of this hospital,
okay.
regardless of the actual, regardless of how overwhelming the evidence was that this was yet another Israeli bombing campaign, which by the way still,
that much evidence, dude.
yes, it was.
All the people reporting on it.
Okay, no, we can't have this conversation then. If you legitimately think that there isn't enough circumstantial evidence that all pointed to Israel literally bombing the same vicinity, Israel bombing the hospital 2 days prior, if you think that is not enough evidence that Israel was bombing the hospital again, including the fucking doctors, including the doctors.
This whole okay.
Wait, what?
Not 100%.
Including the fucking, okay, 90%. I still think it's 90% that it's Israel. So how about that?
Still think it's 90%.
Oh, so that's the difference. So that's the difference. I didn't say 90%. My bad, brother. Sorry.
No,
next time I'll say, guys, it's 90% Israel. What?
You still double down and say the exact same thing.
Because of the evidence that I presented. Every single point of evidence.
This one point just it's like beat to death.
That Israel presented was discredited instantaneously. The only fucking evidence we have is the circumstantial evidence. I said all of these on the same fucking day of the coverage. Okay? I said all of the evidence is circumstantial, but of course circumstantial evidence overwhelmingly says that this was yet another Israeli bombing campaign. We looked through the same. We looked. There wasn't any evidence. There was no evidence.
There was circumstantial, but you think that's enough to go off of when it's breaking news?
Well, it's kind of crazy that you say that because I did mention that it was circumstantial at the time and that it was overwhelmingly. So you do agree with me. Got it. Okay, so circumstantial evidence overwhelmingly favors that this is Israel. Got it, which was my commentary on the time. So now we've proven that you fucking found a 2-minute segment on the day of to fucking clip and go, this is what Hasan said. He's clearly in the fucking wrong. He's so stupid.
And catch you in the slack, right? I could just like do it. It's gonna be like really, it's gonna happen. I mean, what can I do here?
What do you mean?
I'm just gonna go watch the broadcast and show you lying.
Okay, go ahead. That's great. Watch the broadcast. You're most likely going to do the exact same thing that you've done thus far, which is over the course of a fucking 8-hour broadcast, you're gonna find another fucking moment and be like, see, he read the chat. He did this. He did that. There's over the course of an 8-hour broadcast.
It's the same thing you always do. I'm just saying.
No,
you're doing it in real time. You're doing it in real time, bro.
Over the course of an 8-hour broadcast, if you look to literally 3 moments, you can find me.
As much as you do. That does 8-hour broadcast.
Because no one has the most psychopathic fucking fandom like idiots like you who fucking sit through every minutia to find a clippable moment. To find a clippable moment and be like, he sucks, he's bad. That's the reason, dickhead. All right. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm being rude to my guest. I can't believe I made Felix sit through this. I can't believe I made Felix sit through this. Okay.
Can I ask you a question?
Oh, my guest has a question for you.
All right,
go ahead.
Don't you think it's weird how like Anne Hathaway like isn't Jewish? I just found that out like last year.
I don't fucking know, bro.
Doesn't she like kind of like look like Jewish?
That is weird, actually. I'm kind of agree with that. Anne Hathaway does look very Jewish. I could have sworn she was Jewish. Okay, what?
I always thought that. I was like, let's go. That's one of ours. But apparently she isn't. She's like the opposite. Yeah.
Okay.
Shalom.
Are you?
No, I'm not.
I was about to say Willie Mac.
That
name isn't in the Bible.
I'm gonna look this up.
All right, take it easy, man.
Do you have any questions for Willie Mac?
That was the question.
That's it?
Yeah.
No,
I just found out about the Anne Hathaway thing.
Well,
it's breaking news. I'm sure it's
Willie Mac, thank you so much for your ethics in video game journalism or your ethics in conflict reporting. I'm sure. Okay, yeah, you got me, dude. You fucking know me. Okay, thanks for helping, he says. All right, Jesus Christ.
Okay, I mean, she was raised Roman Catholic, me too, but I'm ethnically Jewish. I guess not. Okay, I guess she's not.
Kind of weird, but like.
Yo, shut up. Oh, sorry. Irish along with German and French and English. Okay, cool. Anyway, listen, I think from an optics perspective, that probably didn't go the way that Willie Mac wanted it to go. Here's the thing, right? I think Willie Mac's videos are great. I think that they're still solid. I reacted to them. I'm the best. I agree with him, which means he has to be right. Okay, because I'm always right. Always right, dude. I just realized I'm wearing the same shirt I wore in my last video that I made, but it was cleaned. We had a washer dryer in the hotel that we had. It was actually a very nice hotel. I think it probably would have been better to prep more, even though it was the very last moment. Probably would have been a little better to prep more. Doing like debatey type content can be very difficult to do, especially when Hasan just steamrolled the fuck out of Willie Mac, even though Willie Mac was more correct in my opinion. But this now it just kind of signals to Hasan's audience that otherwise may have been receptive to a Willie Mac video. Now they've been conditioned to think Willie Mac is just like an insane fucking, dickhead that takes things out of context. So yeah, next time what you should have just done, just throw Destiny in there the second that he answers the phone. That would have been very funny. Anyway, yeah, end video.